Yep.
We are live, David. On today, National Salesperson Day.
Is it really?
It's 5 things, David. Nobel Prize Day, Human Rights Day, which I'm confused why they would have those two on the same day, National Salesperson Day.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this Friday? How's your week been? Hope it's gone well. Thanks for ending it with us, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network, as we are 2 weeks and a day away from the big day. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
Fantastic, David. Never better. Grand Friday morning.
Seriously, or do I sense sarcasm?
Little above, but in a great mood.
Oh, good.
And if you saw my tweet from last night.
I did. I didn't know if you were going to go there, and if so, when?
Well, yesterday, my daughter had her first confession. I'm Catholic, and so the whole family went. And they brought in
family.
My mother, my wife, and I, and my daughter. We all went for her first confession, and we all confessed as well. And I am ecstatic because the church neither blew up or started on fire when I went for confession for the first time in 35 years.
I have to admit, what time did you go?
Like 6 bells. It was like right around dinner time.
Uh-huh. I'm surprised you made the show. I know that's a cheap shot, but come on, there's a little truth to it.
Little? I told my daughter, I said, because we're looking at an order. I said, well, it's your first confession. Why don't you go first? I said, then let Dad go, because I'm going to be a while.
Then you all can go home. Honey, you've got school tomorrow. Okay, make sure you're tucked in by 8:30.
And brush your teeth. So
when you get in the confessional, wait, Father, we got cable in here. We got kickoff at 8:20.
Could be a while. Father Hugh, who's a devout Eagles fan, David, I was going to go to you and say, if you want to get the rest of the story, why don't you make it for kick on Sunday?
I mean, your team's on a bye this week, so you don't care how long this is, but I got places to be.
Did tell my daughter that this will be the direct opposite of dinner, where Dad finishes food really quickly and everybody else has to finish much after I do. So this will be the opposite, Maddie. You'll go really quickly. You don't have a lot to say. I'll be there for a while.
I'm surprised you didn't let everybody go first and then just say, hey, I'll text you when I'm getting near the end.
Yep.
Wow.
Tell you what, you should have seen the look on his face when I gave him, it's been 35 years since my last confession. Holy cow.
What was your next line after that? It's been 35 years since my last confession. Where do I begin?
I said, let's just get to the highlights.
So back during the Reagan years.
So we're just going to fast forward this. We'll get to the big ones. And that was the line of the night by my daughter, who, without realizing what she said, when my wife said, what are you going to confess? And my daughter goes, just give him the big ones, Dad.
And she's
no idea how good that line was.
Right. She's only aware of the last few years.
Right. She has no idea about the parts between W1 and W2.
Right. Honey, I'm going to keep it to the Cliff Notes version, or at least the highlights, but some books' Cliff Notes are bigger than others. You'll learn this in school in a few years.
I mean, those 8 years are like Hangover 1, 2, and 3 combined.
So right around Iran-Contra. Yeah.
I love how you have these references.
You know,
When
just,
the Braves lost their
oh boy. Yep.
What's that text number again? Text FSN Radio to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000.
You know, maybe that should be the weekend poll question. Mark went to his first confessional in 35 years. It lasted a while. If you went to confessional this weekend, how long would it last? Oh, man.
We could throw this to the text line. What team right now needs to go to confession? Who needs to be absolved of their sins, of their sports sins right now? Because we watched the Pittsburgh Steelers last night, and you had to watch them and pay attention.
It was the best, worst game I think we've done in a while. I mean, all right, I hope he doesn't get mad at this. So at one point, we go to commercial break. It's late third quarter. I think the Vikings had just kicked a field goal mid-third to go up 29-0. And Troy goes, I don't know about you, but are you getting texts from your friends about how bad this game is? Because I am. I go, you know what? It's so bad I'm not. I said, it crossed the threshold of, you know what? It's not even worth a comment. And then it was exceptional.
Well, the one thing that is pretty apparent for me on Sundays, and it's been this way for a few years, and we don't really think of it because there's a lot of games going on and there's at least a highlight. But David, typically the 1:00 games on Sunday are pretty boring until the second half. That's kind of the NFL right now. We don't typically get the game with back and forth scoring in the first half. We get the rope-a-dope, feel you out, Ali Frazier for 5 rounds, and then the second half starts and we start throwing haymakers. That's most games in the NFL right now.
Well, it was a hot mess for a good chunk. Really, the whole thing. I mean, 2 hours of Vikings, 1 hour from Steelers, and the 1 hour nearly caught up with the 2 hours. That was basically the game. But yes, if last night was a confessional, both teams would have entered the booth.
Absolutely.
Now, there would have been multiple Steelers, I think, in the first 2 hours that would have entered the booth. Okay, and then I think Zimmer, the Vikings coach, would have entered the booth late, and he would have just said, bless me, Father, for I can't bear to watch.
I'll tell you, Purdue needs to go into the confessional. They placed other gods in front of theirs and then blew it against Rutgers. I mean, when you lose a game against Rutgers as number 1, you've done something wrong.
I understand, but Mark, you don't know how hard it is to win at the rack. It is a dump, but it is their dump. And they have embraced it so.
And they charged the field as they charged the court as they should have last night, knocking off number 1.
But I kind of like that. What team is that? Is that what we're going with for a poll question?
Well, no. I want people, we asked the other day, just text in what you think the biggest sports story. We'll come up with an actual poll question. But throughout the show, in honor of my first confession in 35 years.
Now, hold on. We need to just stop. 35 years, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Reagan administration.
I was in high school. Last time I did it, I was a senior in high school. It was either the fall of 86 or the winter of 87. And I went to a Catholic school, and I know they threw one of those at us that year, and everybody did it.
How did you describe that again? They
threw one of those at us.
So what? All of a sudden there was an announcement on the loudspeaker. Everybody, okay, you go at 11. This classroom 6 goes at 11:30. I mean, how'd they do that?
Well, it was an all-school mass, if memory serves me right, which we had those monthly. And this one was an extra long one. We stuck around after, and everybody went to confession, which was great because basically the whole morning was a freebie. You went to first hour. Basically, at my Catholic school, you went to like homeroom, you went to first hour, and then you went to mass. And then you went to lunch. So mass days were good days. You got to check everybody out. Everybody was in the same room. You got to goof off a little bit because you could always get away with that because what are they going to do? And then you get to miss 2 classes. I remember it like a great day.
I was going to say, listen, I would have gone to confessional often if it was followed by lunch. I got to be honest. I would have been. And you got to figure everybody's making those things quick because the sooner you're done, it's time to eat.
Yes. I remember that one being really short for that reason, David. If I'm not positive, it could have been pizza day. Who knows? Thursdays were pizza day. It may have been on a Thursday.
Pizza day was Friday at my school. Now, it wasn't a Catholic school. It was a public, elementary, junior high, and high school when I went, but Friday was always pizza day. Man, and I'm Catholic, and I honestly don't believe I've ever done one.
I've done 3. My first one, the aforementioned 35 years ago, and yesterday. That's it.
I mean, I'm like going through my head right now how I think it would be like, I think I'd be like Larry David in mine, honestly.
Well, I have to tell you, David, that crossed my mind. There is, you know me pretty well, and you know how cynical I am.
No.
There was part of me that wanted to go there full Larry David and go, and do it loud enough that people could hear, because again, it was first confession for all these kids. So they brought in some out of town priests. They brought in the folks from from St. Cecilia. So we had like 5 of them there, and they weren't all in confessionals. They were spread out throughout the church. So I could have grabbed a spot where I could have gone all Larry David and done it loud enough for everybody around me to hear. And trust me, David, it crossed my mind.
Bless me, Father.
I was there with my wife, and I wanted to leave with my wife.
I understand. Yeah, I would have sent mine home. She would have said, "Oh no, I want to stay. Okay, this should be good." Yes, mine. And since we do this for a living, yes, I probably would have been louder than most. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been forever since my last confession, and boy, do I have some things I want to say.
So here's the trade kicker for this one, David. There is a little prayer you're supposed to say at the end of this, your act of contrition. Now, I don't remember this from attempts 1 and 2, David. I don't know. The Catholics were going through a different phase when I did this before.
Maybe this got added.
My daughter had it memorized, and my wife, who helps teach catechism or whatever the hell they call it now, had made these nice cards for all these kids with all their prayers on them. Before we left, I looked at my wife and I went, "You got an extra?" And I pulled out my cheat sheet right in front. I said, "It's been this long, Father. I had to bring a cheat sheet." He found that pretty funny.
Mark, the only one of those that I know is the disclaimer at the end of the ESPN Plus broadcast. So when we got done, I would have said, "Well, for Father so-and-so, I'm David Moulton. And your final score tonight, the Catholics 121, Moulton 3. This has been a presentation of ESPN Sports, the worldwide leader.
Brought to you by Budweiser. With that clean, crisp, refreshing taste, nothing beats a Bud. Is that it, Father? Does that sound right?
Any rebroadcast or
wine? We do wine.
Any rebroadcast or retransmission of this confessional is strictly prohibited, but you'll be able to find it on ESPNplus.com.
Tell you what, right now, Felipe's always wanted to jump in, but the Catholic high school grad has no idea if he should talk right now. He is scared.
Absolutely not.
You've got 2 Catholics in their 50s that don't give a rip anymore.
Yeah, Felipe's
Felipe's going, my mom might listen to this once in a while. I can't have this. I got to go home for Christmas. We're going on family vacation. I can't deal with any of this right now.
Nope. But in 30 years, you'll be sitting around somewhere, Felipe, and you'll go, "That's what these 2 yahoos were talking about." Well, if the powers that be allow us, 15 minutes after the hour, we'll be back with more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. So, Felipe, do you ever make church on your weekends when you're here as a good college kid, or do you just lie to your mom and say you go?
Oh, I'm honest with her. I'm like, Mom, football exists. I'm not going to church.
Well, first off, mass is at 8:30 and 10:30, so it does nothing to do with football. I mean,
Well, I wake up an hour before football starts.
okay. Do you want me to start calling you to meet us for 10:30?
Yeah.
I've been impressed when the amount of times I've seen people your age there. Like I see, whether it's two guys, two girls, that I'm like, oh, they actually got up this morning. Because no, I mean, in 4 years, I mean, I'm like you, I'm a Catholic high school grad. I had much different feelings about the religion when I was 18, 19, 20 than I do now. And I think, and my roommate was even more strong Catholic than I am. And I'd say of 5 years of school, 2, 3, I mean,
Well,
an occasional Ash Wednesday.
here's the thing. Any time I come down to Miami for a weekend,
Oh yeah, you're in.
my mom, she's like very big on family time. So
Oh,
she's
yeah.
like,
I don't
let's
know.
go to mass. And
So does your
then
dad go
have
with her
lunch.
every week, or is it just your mom?
Oh no, it's them too.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's always, let's go to mass, let's have lunch after, and then you can drive back. It'll be perfect. And I can't say no to her.
It is
I mean,
big. I will say the out to dinner after mass is very big in the Hispanic culture, isn't it?
Oh my.
I mean, I've noticed, like, even when I lived
Huge.
in Bonita and I'd go to my taco joint, all the little kids would be coming in to grab. If they ate at home, they were all buying the thing of tortillas there. They were the
Yeah.
kilo of tortillas to take
Yeah.
home, so mom didn't have to make anything. But yeah,
Right after
all the
mass.
restaurants are packed.
Mhm. And if we don't go to a restaurant, we just go to my grandmother's house. We all just gather, watch football.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have one brother, and then I have a bunch of cousins.
Okay, older brother, younger?
Older.
Yeah, Adam, and all indications, all the things I'm seeing is that he was a better dude off the field than he was on, and he was a really good player. Somebody that covered the Broncos, she basically put, I never deleted these from my phone. I never thought I'd want to put them all out, but she's just putting one video of him at a school and doing this and doing that. I got a text yesterday. Thank you, Mark. Why? I'm like, 4? He's like, turn it off, Phillies, Mike. NBA fan. He's like, not an NBA fan. David, did you meet the commish last night?
Raj was in the booth.
By the way, I asked Chris about the Tracy McGrady thing. He had no idea.
So, all right. So yesterday he's sending me this thing, and I'm like, look I got you, but no one cares. I said, you know what? I said, go down the hall. I said, and just make sure he got the promo, and he goes, I know he got it. I go, I don't care. Just make sure he got the promo and ask him. He's a big basketball fan. And he's young. No clue.
None.
No
No.
clue.
He said Reggie Miller, and I was
Yeah,
like,
did
no.
you ask Casio?
No. But I will.
No,
But no.
I did get a text from your wife after that monologue, by the way.
Yes.
Just a very simple LMAO. I said, you want to impress the Prix, show up for confession for the first time in 35 years. He yelled. He almost yelled. He was so happy. I will say, because my mom was also in about the 30-plus year category, they were a lot easier on me with what I had to do for my penance than my daughter, and it was her first penance, and she doesn't even sin. Her sin's being, not making her bed, for crying out loud.
Well, they try to get them young. They realize that there's no hope with you.
Right. She had 2 Our Fathers, 2 Hail Marys. I got 1 Our Father. Are you kidding me?
Although it was a little more all-encompassing than hers.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. If you missed the top of the show, Mark went to confession yesterday for the first time in 35 years. So I don't know if we're going to get to any sports today. We're going to try. But, this is opening up a whole can of worms, and not just for Mark, because the co-host, well, he doesn't know if he's ever gone. And if so, he can't recall. I don't want to say, Mark, that it's been a while, if maybe never, but I'm going to read you word for word the text that I got from my mother.
Thank goodness that she's awake and listening right now. Mom Moulton, I am so happy. And I know you're not going to call in. If there were ever a time I wanted you on the show, right now is it. I am so happy that you sent a text this morning. You made my day.
6:17 a.m. For what it's worth, you go to confession in a confessional. XO. That's apparently where she feels she needs to start with me.
Right. And that's what I was saying. They didn't even, they had one confessional, and then they had them spread out around the church last night because it was it was an all in.
Right. She felt the need to explain to me how this works. I'm like, no. I know how it works. I've just never partaken.
So you've never entered the confessional?
No.
Did you make a first communion?
Mark, if I've done it, I don't recall it.
Okay.
No, and I'm not kidding. And you know me, I recall most everything of significance in my life.
So I will say what you actually are is what my late father was. My dad was at one point going to the hospital. He had something happened where he's, going into the emergency room, and it may have been life or death. I don't exactly remember what it was, but they asked him what religion he was. And he went, sort of Catholic.
Where's the box for that one, by the way?
Well, David, everything you're saying to me is that, you went to the Catholic Church. You consider yourself Catholic, but you didn't really.
No. I'm Catholic, and I've never put in the paperwork to say that I'm not Catholic. Okay, but I have not done anything to follow through once getting my card.
Right. I mean, outside of going for a swim when you were a baby, there hasn't been a whole lot of action, is what we're saying.
No. As soon as I got my card, I put it in my childhood wallet, and that was it. And if I ever needed it again, I was able to whip it out and go, no, I'm a member. No,
the good news is they don't, it's not like a vaccination card. If you only have one stamp on that, they're still going to allow it.
No, there's no expiration date. I don't know. Read the fine print. No, right here. Look. No,
I'm telling you right now, our 21-year-old Catholic has turned his back to me. He's working on the other computer right now. He is beside himself with fear.
Just work on some promos, Felipe. Okay, no. Read the fine print on the bottom. There's all sorts of stuff on the back that you have to go through this to make this card invalid. I haven't done any of that. No. This card's valid.
We're asking you to give your sports confession to us today. Text FSN Radio to 21,000 if you've never texted the show. If you have, you already understand all of this. But if you've not, text FSN Radio, all one word, to 21,000. I will say we did get this. Steelers fan here went to bed at halftime. Even though I get up for work at 2 a.m., I normally watch the entire game. You know what? If the Steelers had completed an epic comeback, I wouldn't care that I missed it because the first half was nauseating beyond description. You are right, sir.
We have someone that just called in. They claim to be Mr. Moulton's mom.
No.
No. Nope. I
Nope.
I know she wouldn't call.
They like to talk about confession.
No, she doesn't know the number.
Exactly.
It's a dude, obviously.
Yeah. The Baltimore Orioles need to go to confession for tanking the last 4 years and putting a AAA team on the field year after year.
Okay, there you go. That's a solid one. Also doesn't last very long. It's quick. It's easy. Ladies and gentlemen, how long would the Lions confession last?
Oh, my goodness. This person says, I must confess, I took a double lunch my entire senior year, dropped trigonometry, never went to the study hall, lived across the street from the high school. That's great.
Awesome.
I didn't know you could drop classes in high school.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have dropped physics.
Oh, yeah.
That D looked terrible.
I dropped 2 my senior year, to be honest with you. Dropped 2. It was fantastic. Went to the first 2 periods, and then periods 3 through 8. I had a bunch of lunch, study hall, and a drama class. I used to go to the range and hit golf balls. It's fantastic. Am I supposed to confess that? I think I just did.
Well, it's a start, David. We're getting there. Did your mom know that you dropped the classes?
Yes. The one I came home and I announced. I said, I hate this teacher and I'm dropping it. And my mother tried to rescue it. She went in, met the teacher, came home and said, first time and only time I'm ever going to say this. You're right. She's awful. You can drop the class. Great. Fantastic.
So what team needs to go to confession and for what? Throughout the show, that is going to be our recurring theme. We will get a poll question on the show. We will talk hardcore NFL with Pat Kirwan. We'll talk some teams in the 9 o'clock hour as well.
Man. Okay, music in our Twitch chat room. The Lions haven't been to the playoffs since Mark's last confession. No. Come on now.
They haven't won a game.
No, they haven't. Well, almost. Almost. Been 35 years since Mark's last confession until last night. The Lions haven't won a playoff game in 30 years. 91. It's unbelievable.
Got me by a couple of years.
Yep.
A couple, David.
Close. Man, oh, man. Miller and Moulton on this Football Friday.
If you say so, Football Friday. It doesn't have the same feel right now with the college season. All but one game left, Army-Navy, that you'll be heading to after the show today. At least you think so.
Well, that's the plan, Mark, but apparently there's a winter storm advisory. It hasn't started yet, but it's going to. And, well, you know, we'll see. Listen, I will say of all the airports in this country, of all the major airports in this country, the airport that is the best at handling inclement weather is Minneapolis. This isn't going back, a generation, but Northwest Airlines, was based out of Minneapolis, and you could get in and out of Minneapolis. I mean, blizzards, they were fine. Rest of the country shut down. Minneapolis is like, we'll de-ice it. Don't worry. We'll get you out of here. We're plowing the runway now. Don't worry. You'll get home. So I feel good, Mark. I do. And amazingly, tomorrow for Army-Navy, it's supposed to be in the 60s. Which just doesn't seem right.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That storm seems to be going the same direction as you're going, and it's going to be 60 there. But, hey, whatever.
I know. I'm with you. Why is it going to be 60s and rain? You figured it'd be like 28 and a foot of snow, but apparently not.
The starting 5 on the other side. We'll get to all the things that I missed yesterday because, well, I was being absolved of all of my sins.
That's a full
Feels
day,
good.
Man. That's a full day. You missed a lot.
I really need this starting 5, David.
was going to say, Mark, this is like one of those movies. Okay, we try to turn 35 years into 100 minutes. Now, it was just one long day. The hell it was.
2 Our Fathers and a Hail Mary for witnessing a murder, Father? That's not bad. That's all I'm thinking. I just was doing the Bronx Tale all night last night. And
30 minutes after the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, Mark, I got the audio for the game.
Awesome. I've got this.
This is my last confession, and these are my sins. I missed Mass on Sunday twice. I lied about witnessing a murder once.
Who was that?
I ate meat on Friday once.
Wait a minute. Can you back up a little bit and say that again?
I ate meat on Friday once.
No, not that one. Back up a little more.
I lied about witnessing a murder.
Yeah, that's the one. Do you realize what you said?
It was only once, Father.
Do you know what the fifth is?
Yes, Father, I know what the fifth is. The fifth is I refuse to answer on the grounds that I'm not a criminal.
The fifth commandment.
Thou shalt not kill.
That's right. Now I want you to tell me what happened.
No, Father. I'm not telling nobody nothing.
Don't be afraid, my son. Nobody's more powerful than God.
I don't know about that, Father. Your guy's bigger than my guy up there. But my guy's bigger than your guy down here.
You got a point. 5 Our Fathers and 5 Hail Marys for your parents.
For a murder rap? That's not bad, Father.
What'd you say?
What's that from?
Bronx Tale.
Oh.
And if you've not seen it and you like mob movies, watch it.
I'll watch it.
Bronx Tale might be the most underrated mob movie that there is. It's so good. So good. And especially at your age would be even better. That, Once Upon a Time in America, would be the two I would tell you to watch.
Do we want to play this before the starting five?
No, we can't put that out there.
It's pretty damn funny. It's pretty damn funny. as long as there's not a curse word in it.
There isn't.
Your guy may be bigger than my guy up there, but my guy's bigger than your guy down here.
You got
Long pause. You got a
got
point.
Oh my God. I will tell you, last night, wife sat down, we went to dinner. I went to that T42 place, David, that they wanted us to eat at for a month for, don't know how longer they'll be in business.
Really?
It was Thursday night. The place was empty. Empty. It's Thursday night.
Where is that again?
It's the old Fridays next to Diamond District. Do me a favor, Dave. Just put the purple one on so every time you type, you don't send random text to people who don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But it was good. I will say the one thing they had in there last night, there was a private room or whatever, like a room. They had a Blackhawks watch party. There were like 35 people in there watching the Blackhawks game.
Wow.
Pretty much everybody had a jersey on. I was like, I kind of walked by. I'm like, hey, I'm a Wings fan. This is awesome.
I don't know that I've ever heard of one of those in Southwest Florida,
Right.
especially for a regular season game on a Thursday in December.
Right.
I mean, I wonder
Although
if
I
it's a
heard one
once
guy
a
coming
month
back to the
thing.
bathroom, I almost chastised him because he said, I grew up in Toledo. I was a Wings fan, and then I met so-and-so, so I'm rooting for them. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, come on, dude.
Whoa. You start switching
Boo.
teams for your chick, especially when you're going from Wings to Blackhawks.
Exactly.
Hell no.
Like you said, you had trouble accepting Chelios as a member of the Wings.
Right. Yes, in Blazy, I watched it with my kid over Thanksgiving weekend, Steve. He had never seen it.
Okay, we need to make sure with his 22-year-old kid, not his 7-year-old kid.
22-year-old kid. Yeah.
Right. You need to set the
Excuse
record
me.
straight.
It is funny what he finds funnier than I do, because when he gets, excuse me, while I whip this out, I thought he was going to fall out of his seat. He was laughing so hard.
Mm-hmm. My father liked that line. Love that movie. Golly.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
24 minutes before the hour. Happy Friday to everybody. Hope you've had a good week. Thanks for spending part of the end of your week with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. By now, hopefully you know the drill. But if you're very new to the show and you've never participated, you can do so in a couple different ways. If you watch us on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, well, there's a chat room. If you're listening in Tampa, St. Pete, and Fort Myers, Naples, and anywhere else for that matter, well, you can text FSN Radio, all one word, FSN Radio, to 21,000. 21000, and that's it. You're in the club. Text away. Let us know what you're thinking.
Just texting through the whole break with them, David.
And we do these things. We're supposed to have a poll question every day, and then sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. It's one of the things we're not good at consistently, and we should be a lot better. We've been doing this a while. We should be able to come up with at least one good solid poll question a day. What we are really good at is coming up with a theme and something in which we're looking for your input on.
And today we want your sports confessions, or just your confessions. I don't even care at this point.
In
My
honor
daughter
of
had her first confession yesterday. I went with her. Safe to say, mine took a lot longer. It had been 35 years since I'd been in that little room.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, to just quickly do the math, that means roughly 86, 87.
Senior year in high school. There's no doubt. I know exactly when it was. I know where it was. Saginaw Nouvelle Catholic Central. This one here, my confession, is my senior year of high school. The first day I put all of my books in the locker. At the end of the year, I had to go to the office to get the combination because I never opened it the entire year. My goodness, is that impressive.
Hey, can somebody help me jam this thing open, please?
Sports or otherwise, I don't care, because the otherwise that I've gotten so far have been pretty solid, David. But it is now time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, the Steelers went to confessional at halftime, let me tell you. Man, oh man, it was 23-0 Vikings, and the game wasn't really that close. Minnesota had 300 yards of offense in the first half. They led 29-0 late third quarter. And then all of a sudden, in 5 minutes, the Steelers scored 3 touchdowns. And it was 29-20 with about 12 minutes to play. It ends up 36-28. Steelers get the ball at their own 4. 2:15 to go, no timeouts. Ben takes them all the way down to the 12. With 2 seconds to go, they've got one play in the end zone right there for Farworth, the tight end. Triple teamed, hit, ball pops out. Vikings in yet another one-score game. I think it's their 12th. They've played 13 games this year. 12 of them have been decided by 8 points or less. Minnesota hangs on to win 36-28. Vikings are 6-7. Steelers fall back to 500 at 6-1. Both of them are not in the playoffs at present time. Dalvin Cook, it's not often you can throw this word out there, but it really does apply in a sports landscape. Dalvin Cook's effort last night was heroic. I mean, he played 11 days after totally messing up his left shoulder. They said he'd be out a minimum of 3 weeks. He watched his team lose to the Lions and said, yeah, I got to play Thursday. We need the game.
Unbelievable. I mean, I was stunned when I saw him out there.
205 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And late in the game when the Vikings really needed a timeout, on a 3rd down, he came out of the backfield and beat a linebacker down the seam and caught a big pass and took a big hit and got the 1st down, and the Vikings were able to keep the ball. Impressive second half from the Steelers, but
impressive fourth quarter. I mean, can you give them a whole second half, or is it really?
Well, I can for this reason. Their defense held the Vikings to 28 yards in the 3rd quarter. And it was it was impressive final 20 minutes for the offense. But yeah, the defense took 30 minutes off and the offense took 40 minutes off. Besides the loss, TJ Watt re-aggravated a groin injury. He left the game in the 2nd quarter not to return. And that obviously bears watching.
Well, and look, I think we said this yesterday. We thought it was a must-win for both teams. I think you can stick a fork in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, they are 6-1, but they would have to win out to get to 10-6-1 in our estimation to have a chance. And that means they will have to beat the Titans, Chiefs, Browns, and Ravens. And that ain't happening with this football team. I see 8-1 in their future because nothing's more Pittsburgh right now than 8-1. I don't know who the two will be. I would bet on the Titans and the Browns, David, and losing on the road to the Chiefs and the Ravens and closing it out 8-1 and being like the, 10th in the conference.
Steelers have not had a losing season in nearly 20 years. Mike Tomlin yet to have a losing season as head coach. News that was breaking literally as the game was coming to an end around 11:15. Actually, I'd say about 11:30 last night Eastern. Demaryius Thomas, just outstanding player. One of those, not going to be an NFL Hall of Famer, but he is a Ring of Honor type player for the Denver Broncos. Had a cup of coffee with a couple other teams at the end of his career. He had only announced his retirement this past offseason. Found dead yesterday in his Georgia home at the age of 33. Foul play is not suspected. There was one former teammate in one news report that I saw, Mark, that said that DT, as he was called, had been experiencing some seizures lately.
Yeah, they said it was a medical issue. One of the people who covered him in Denver, she has been putting out videos of just his off-field stuff, doing stuff at schools and this, that, and the other. And by all accounts, was a better dude off the field than he was on, and he was a pretty damn good football player.
One of the 3 best receivers in Broncos history.
Third all-time in catches for the Broncos.
Demaryius Thomas, just 33 years old. Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy, boy, he was feeling it yesterday, Mark. He may have to go to confession after what he said yesterday. Mike McCarthy publicly guaranteed a win over Washington Sunday.
Oh, boy.
Don't know why Mike McCarthy felt compelled to do that. His team's in first place by a couple games. Didn't think they needed an emotional or psychological pick-me-up. I looked Troy Aikman right in the face yesterday and said, does he realize he's not coaching the 92-93 Cowboys? I go, Jimmy could do this sort of thing. He had you guys. I mean, he's got some talented players and all, but come on. Washington's won 4 in a row. So there's that. And remember Zach Cunningham, who the Texans released because, well, he had a tardiness problem? Tennessee Titans didn't even let him clear waivers. They just picked him up. They said, yeah, we need the help. Besides, you guys paid most of his salary for this year. We can foot the bill from here. College football news. Oregon apparently wants Chip Kelly back.
It makes sense to me. Worked pretty well the first time.
Yeah, that was a while ago. And I would argue that Chip, from an X's and O's standpoint, I think Chip was kind of ahead of the rest of the sport.
Right.
You know, Chip wasn't beating anybody with the Jimmies and Joes. He was actually beating you with his X's and O's and with his tempo. And, all right, objectively, you're the Oregon AD. Is what you've seen from Chip Kelly at UCLA reason to hire him at Oregon?
No, but I'm not surprised. This is a move that doesn't surprise me. He was very popular there. It seems easy.
Well, they apparently want him, and we'll see how this plays out. Speaking of playing out, we all know tomorrow night Bryce Young's going to win the Heisman. He picked up in the last 48 hours the Maxwell Trophy for the College Football Player of the Year and the Davey O'Brien for the best quarterback in the country. He's not winning all the awards, though, right, Mark?
No, in fact, the Walter Camp Award for the best player was given to Kenneth Walker from Michigan State. He also won the Doak Walker, which is the running backs award. And the Bronco Nagurski Award for best defensive player was given to Will Anderson from Alabama. I bring up those two players because neither of them will be in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony.
Right. And those are literally the two players that we thought that were omitted. We thought that the list should have been 5. Those two should have gone, and C.J. Stroud, the Ohio State quarterback, should have been taken off of the invite list.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it should have been the 2 defensive ends there, Anderson and Hutchinson, and Walker, and Pickett and Young.
Yeah, I'm fine with Pickett. How Stroud's there is beyond me. I don't get it. I don't get it. But whatever. I mean, you've got 4 receivers or 3 receivers who could all be first-round picks. They're all better than he is.
Well, that's true.
Okay.
Florida State ended up hiring Michael Alford as their AD yesterday. He was president and CEO of the Seminole Booster Club. Now, he has been an AD before. It was at Central Michigan. He was the fallback. They wanted the guy at Louisville. Apparently, the guy at Louisville desperately wanted to leave until he found out the president of Louisville was leaving. And then he said, no, now I don't want to leave. I wanted to leave because I hated her.
Right, and they got a lot of money there. They've got more money than Florida State.
Right. Oh, no, she's leaving. I'll stay. All's good. I love it here. The Gators lost their top receiver, Jacob Copeland, to the transfer portal. Cameron Ward is his name. He is the top FCS quarterback in the country. He played at Incarnate Word last year. He has entered the transfer portal. That's going to be a big get for somebody at quarterback. Cameron Ward, Incarnate Word. Say that 3 times fast.
Tuck coming, baby.
And Virginia Tech hired Jags tight end coach Tyler Bowen to be their offensive coordinator. Down goes number 1 last night in Jersey.
3 seconds, no timeouts. Harper for the win. Oh! It counts at the buzzer.
Rutgers 70, top-ranked Purdue, their first ever game, number 1 in the country, 68. Purdue took a 1-point lead on a layup with 4 seconds to go. Harper from just inside a half court. What would you say, a 40-footer?
40, yeah, every bit of it. And what an unbelievable final minute and a half of that game. Back and forth. Great dunk by Rutgers. Great putback by Rutgers. Really, really fun ending to that game.
It was a big night in Jersey because Seton Hall knocked off 7th-ranked Texas, 64-60 as well.
Boy, it's
The
tough when
battle,
a small school like Texas loses like that.
the Battle of Iowa. State beat Iowa 73-53. Woo. Got some splaining to do there, Fran. One game in the state of Florida, NC State over Bethune-Cookman, 65-48. Going to give you one other college basketball score on the women's side. UConn lost their best player. I know they got a lot of good players, right? They should be okay. Yeah, they got beat at Georgia Tech by 13 last night, 57-44. Scored 5 points in the fourth quarter. Gino afterwards said, "We're in a lot of trouble." Not going to be a lot of sympathy for them in the rest of the sport. They're going to be like, no, you coach for a while with what we've been coaching with. See how you do there.
You only have 9 All-American McDonald All-Americans now instead of 10, and the reason you don't have the other one is you left her in too long, you jackass. You arrogant SOB. No one's going to feel sorry for him. You know what's terrible is that people root against Connecticut because of Gino. And those, no fault of the girls.
They'll get it together. You watch.
Of course they will.
3 games in the NBA last night. Utah beat the Sixers by 22. Memphis over the Lakers by 13. The Lakers are right around 500. AD came out after the game and said, we have to start playing like we're an underdog. Might as well try something, guys. Spurs beat the Nuggets by 12. Hockey, the Lightning over the Maple Leafs 5-3. That could be a playoff series. Boston with a big win in Edmonton 3-2. And the Islanders, Mark, still have not won on their brand new arena home ice. Lost to Nashville 4-3.
It has been a rough go for the Islanders between the COVID run and then they're still trying to play games. They have just been decimated.
This is a team that's gone to the conference finals the last 2 years, and right now would have one of the top 5 picks of the draft.
Well, that's the thing. They're burying themselves so far, David. This could cost them the playoffs, what's going on right now.
Oh, Mark, they have to grab points, darn near 70% of the remaining points to make the playoffs in all likelihood. And Yasiel Puig, who was out of baseball last year, signed with a team in South Korea. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you have it. On this, National Salesperson Day? Is that what it is today?
Today is Nobel Prize Day, Human Rights Day, National Lager Day, National Salesperson Day, and David, this is my favorite of the 5 days for December 10th. Today is the Dewey Decimal System Day.
When you say National Lager Day, are we talking trees or are we talking beer?
Lager, beer.
Okay. All
An
right.
A and a G, not an O and 2 G's.
Okay, well, I just wanted to know.
No,
I didn't know if we were spinning. I didn't know if this was early days of ESPN and we got 2 guys on a log in the middle of a pond.
I don't know about you, but when you had the stay on the log competition, way more than the climb the pole and chop down with the axe. But when we're spinning, walking on logs, I'm in for a while.
I'm all in.
I mean, it's like all of a sudden I came up with Airplane on TBS. I'm there for at least till the next commercial. And probably
Absolutely.
one more after that, David.
Yeah. Yes. I stand there in amazement. How in the world do you guys even make it more than 3 seconds?
In honor of my first confession in 35 years, we're taking your sports confessions or any confessions you want to admit. Text FFC Radio to 21,000. Been having some fun with that. David and I will actually try to get a poll question, and Pat Kirwan will join us in 1 hour right here. Miller and Moulton, thank you so much for listening to the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Sub location near you today.
Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by
Fantastic.
RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Visit gpstpete.com now to secure the best.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Daughter loves the library. We have a library card as well. She is a huge fan, and I'm it's right by my house. I've been quite a few times actually, but now I got to check and see if where the Dewey Decimal stuff is. I had a library. We had to I don't know if it was a class, but I want to say whether it was an English class. At some point in high school, I spent a week in the library, and you had to learn that stupid Dewey Decimal System. You had to go put cards back in they'd give you a card and you had to find where it goes.
Which library do you go to?
The one right on Three Oaks.
There's a library?
Yeah, right by the post office. Right across the street from the post office.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Never been inside of it, though.
My daughter absolutely loves books in the library. So she's always got a handful of books running from that one, her school one. She's got her mom's brain, thank God.
I do love some Barnes and Nobles. You ever been to one inside one of those?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you go to pick up women or?
No, it's great vibe.
Okay.
Bunch of books.
So do you go sit in the coffee shop?
Get some Starbucks, read some sports magazines. I used to play Angry Birds on the little tablets.
I need a haircut.
You need a haircut.
I need a haircut.
I think I need a haircut.
If I had your hair, I'd never cut it.
That's the thing. I'm not trying to, but
If I had your hair, I'd never cut it. I hate people like you and Moulton with that great hair. It's terrible.
My mother.
I did not realize that they banned the fake slide yesterday. The NCAA after the Kenny Pickett run there.
No way.
They banned the fake slide.
You're kidding.
Best part is he retweeted it with "change the game."
Yeah. That is amazing. There's no shot he wins the Heisman. Right? I mean, he's pretty damn good.
Still. My mother is explaining to me what level of Catholic I am. Okay.
All right, I want to know what she said, because I would not give you much. Like you're Catholic by word. If you haven't,
She said I made my first Holy Communion at Mass during orientation.
okay, so you did do it.
Yeah, apparently I did. I have no recollection.
10 seconds.
None.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton, and this is the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. Hope you've had a great week. And as we head into the weekend, 2 weeks and a day away from Christmas, well, you getting your act together? Come on now. College football regular season all but over. You know, last week, this week, Sunday slate of games, not the best. All right, this is make it happen time when it comes to gifts. Come on now. You've had a good run. You've put it off as long as you could. This is the weekend to get it together. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. We can do this. Ready? 1, 2, 3, hike. Come on. You've got it in you. You going to be running around this weekend, Mark, or are you done?
Well, we have our annual family Christmas party tomorrow.
I know. You're such nice people. You know, you have friends.
Not
Okay.
many.
No, but
My
you have
wife
enough.
does.
You have enough to have a party.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because what we did, and this started because it's obviously Christmas party season. We'll do one for my wife's work. You know, I was gonna reach out to the boss and have him sabotage you and say, look, Moulton hates Christmas parties, so can you send a text about a big elaborate Christmas dinner we're gonna have just to really mess with them? And I didn't do it.
Good.
I took pity on you.
Good.
Because
Can we get this thing off the ground?
If that would have happened, your first initial call to me would have been so great. Or text with what in the, and I would have just been laughing, but I didn't do that. But most of, people have a lot of Christmas parties. People have their Christmas parties, and they're usually cocktail parties, and they're adults only. Well, for those of us who have kids, that becomes tough. You got to get babysitters. You got to go through all that. So we have a Christmas party, and you are only invited if you have children. I don't invite anybody that doesn't have kids. You don't invite a married couple with no kids. This is only for families.
And by kids, we're talking like under 10, right?
Well, I mean, that's most of the people we know. It wouldn't matter if they were older than 10, but, the wife has the Christmas cookie station set up where the kids can all make their Christmas cookies and decorate them and then take them home with them.
Is there a station where the adults get to eat them?
That's what they get to take home and eat them. The adults get the martini station. That's where I'll be.
Oh, good.
Because my wife keeps going, this is a party for the kids. I'm going, and there's going to be adults here that are going to want to drink.
Right.
You do your thing. I'll do my thing.
Right. You've got the kids thing. You're really good at it. Okay.
Right.
Once again, as we've, established during the first hour of this show, I'm the Catholic. I know what the adults want. Right.
So another trip to Total Wine for me today, and we should be all set for this party, David.
All right, good. Your weekend will be done.
But Sunday's pretty good football.
It's not bad.
Intriguing games.
It's better than last week. It's better than last week.
Which doesn't take much. But, you got Ravens and Browns at 1 o'clock. You got Cowboys and the Washington football team. I almost said it. Because when you do Cowboys, it's tough to go Washington football team after that. It just is.
Got Bills and Bucks, which will be the national game on CBS at 4:25.
And Niners and Bengals, which is the other 4:25 game. So, I think there are 4 really good games on the schedule. 2-1, 2-4.
The Bills and Bucks is a bigger game than I think. It's marquee because, well, first off, anytime Tom Brady's playing, it's marquee. And Josh Allen and the Bills, and they went to the AFC Championship game last year, and they made the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years, and much is expected of them this year. But just from the playoff ramifications of the game, Buffalo is the 7 seed. Now, I don't know how much in danger most of us think the Bills are of missing the playoffs. But when you are the last team in the playoffs, that in and of itself is a red alert. Hey, you're not going to believe this. You guys keep doing this. You could miss the playoffs. So that's number one. But for the Bucks, which no one's talking about, which I don't understand why, because it was seemingly all anyone was talking about in the middle of the season was the race to be the 1 seed in the NFC. And now here we are entering the home stretch, and everybody seemingly just going week to week. I'd kind of like to go big picture. Tampa Bay after Sunday has 2 games with Carolina, a game with the Jets, and a home game against the depleted Saints. They will be a double-digit favorite in their remaining 4 games after Sunday.
Yep.
And the Bucks have already lost one of those tight games this year when they were a 9+ point favorite going to Washington. What are the odds that Brady and company are going to lose 2 such games in a season? Pretty bad. Bucks win Sunday, Mark. They're going to run the table just like they did last year, by the way. And they're going to post 13 or 14-3 and see where that gets them.
Right. And look at the Packers could do the same thing. But David, I'm with you because the Packers, they play Sunday night against the Bears. I fully expect them to beat the Bears because that's what they do. But then they're at the Ravens. They host the Browns. They play the Vikings. They finish at the Lions. That's a win. We get that. But those other 3 games are certainly far more competitive than what we think Tampa's 3 games, conversely will be.
Right. I mean, outside of the finale against the Lions, is Green Bay going to be favored by double digits at Baltimore, home for Cleveland, and home for Minnesota?
No is the answer to all of those. Arizona this week, they play on Monday night.
But they play the Rams, and they're only a 2.5 point favorite.
They play the Rams. They still have to play the Colts. They still have to play at the Cowboys. And they finish against Seattle, and it's not like finishing against the Lions. Seattle will have a little something for them. They're going to be anywhere between a 5 and a 10 point favorite in that football game. But we're going to give Seattle a hell of a lot better shot to beat Arizona week 18 than we are Detroit and Green Bay, if you follow what I'm saying.
And if Arizona loses one more game and Tampa Bay wins out, they will both finish 14-3, and they will finish with the same conference record. So I don't know who has the tiebreaker head-to-head between Arizona and Tampa Bay. This could come down to like 5th or 6th breaker. This could come down record against common opponents type situation. Green Bay, if they run the table, will finish higher than Tampa Bay because they'll have a better conference record. But Tampa Bay with a real shot at the 1 here. Win out, Green Bay loses a game, Arizona loses a game, and it's going to come down to like a 5th tiebreaker with Arizona as to who's the 1.
Well, maybe. It depends where the losses are. I mean, for instance, if Arizona were to lose this week the Rams and lose the Cowboys, it means Tampa has it because right now Arizona's 6-2 in conference.
Right, but what I meant, if they only lose one more game, then they'll finish tied at 14-3. Obviously, if they lose 2 games, the Bucks would finish ahead of them.
But if they, it depends too. If they lost the Colts game, it just depends which loss. But yes, because right now they have 2 conference losses, so it all depends on which loss. But again, Arizona, you look at these games, they'll be a double-digit favorite at Detroit. And they probably won't even be a double-digit favorite. It'll probably be around 9 because it's on the road. The rest of the games are all going to be within 3-4 points.
So I think a big game for the Bucs, because I fully expect if they win, they're going to enter the playoffs on a big roll. Because what have they won? 3 in a row already? So that means they'd enter the playoffs on an 8-game winning streak. Last year, they entered the playoffs on a 4-game winning streak.
And as Joe points out, we were talking about the Bills, the last seed does mean nothing. And you're absolutely right, Joe. But we're talking about the 1. The 1 to us means a lot. The days of 2 byes are gone. Only 1 team's getting a bye. We've added a week to the season. That bye week, particularly to a team like Tampa and Green Bay for that matter, with older quarterbacks, and Aaron's got the toe. So
And I know what you're thinking, Joe. You're going, yeah, well, we went on the road as the 5 last year. Yep. Do you think you're going to do it again? I mean, ask yourself, and look at how the matchups are right now. We all expect the winner of the NFC East, in parenthesis, Dallas, all right, to be the 4, to play the best wild card team, in parenthesis, LA Rams, 5. Don't you, as the 1, want to play the winner of that game? And wouldn't you let Green Bay and Arizona, in theory, play each other again in the 2-3 matchup, and you get the winner at your place? I mean, I do think the road as the 1 is significantly easier. By play the winner of 2-3 instead of having to play both of those teams to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, on paper, Mark, take it for what it's worth, but I do think you can make the argument on paper, being the 1 versus being the 2 is a significant advantage this year in the NFC.
All right. Maybe. And just hear me out, David. Hear me out, because as the 1, you're going to get the worst team that you play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which could mean you get a really salty 5.
Yeah,
because a lot of times the 4 is not the 4th best team. A lot of times the first wild card's better than the last division. So they could get, in the AFC side, you could end up with Buffalo. You're the 1, and all of a sudden you're playing the Bills. Oh, thanks. Now, I think Buffalo end up with a little better seed than that, because as I started looking through these schedules, you want to take your chances on Cincinnati and the Raiders and the Chargers and the Browns. They're all playing one another. All of these teams with 7 and 6 wins in the AFC all are playing one another. Like the Bills right now, to me, I don't care if they get beat by 40 on Sunday. They're a lock for the postseason. They'd have to damn near lose out. And they're not doing that with the teams that they're playing. And that's where even like Dolphin fan going, hey, we're only a game back. No, you're not. You lost both games to them. Tying the Bills does you nothing. You've got to get 1 ahead of them.
The Bills have the Bucs and the Patriots both on the road. Then the other 3 games they will be heavily favored in. So, once again, quote unquote, on paper, the Bills' record right now is 7-5. If they win the games they're favored to win, lose the games they're underdogs in, that's 10-7.
But I mean, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland are all playing each other. Not to mention, they're all playing, it looks like some combination of either they get the Colts, who are in the hunt for this. Some of them have some teams out west they still have to play. I mean, this thing is really set up difficult for anybody not named the Bills to get in, because everybody's playing one another. And all we've seen this year in the NFL is that there have been a handful of teams that have been able to put together a winning streak. Not many have been able to do it. I mean, the Dolphins are in that group right now because of their competition the past few weeks.
The 3 hot teams in the AFC are the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Chiefs.
Right. 2 of those seem like they're going to stay hot. 1 doesn't.
14 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better,
and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So I was trying to be nice to my neighbor the other day, and I think he's something, but I'm trying to be nice. He's got a U license plate wrap. You know, they just hired a new coach. Hey, you got to be happy about the new coach. Oh, or you got to be happy being a Canes fan. His response to me was, I just like the Gator logo. I'm not really that much of a fan. All right. Just the Chargers, David. They've got two what look like gimmies, Giants and Texans. Then they got Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders. The Chargers are a playoff team. I think they're in.
Okay.
Cincinnati, if they don't win this week, wow. They're not beating Baltimore twice, I don't think. They might, but they got Baltimore and the Chiefs at home, at the Broncos, at the Browns. Steelers, we both think are done. I don't see how the Browns get in. Browns have Ravens, Raiders, Packers, Steelers, Bengals. They win in 4 of those.
Ravens have what?
The Browns have Ravens this week, Raiders, Packers, Steelers, Bengals. They're 6 and 6. They got to win 4, right?
Probably.
Maybe
yes.
3 to get, maybe 9 and 8 can be the 7. The Colts have a bye, then they're Patriots. Then the Cardinals. I mean, the Colts can get to 9. I think there's going to be a bunch of them at 9. It'll be a tiebreaker.
Well,
I think the Bills and Chargers get to 10. And I think you're going to have a bunch of teams at 9. A bunch. You'll have Cincinnati there. You may have Cleveland there. You may have the Raiders there, and you'll probably have the Colts there. And the Dolphins, they are going to get so close. They're going to get right to 8.
Well, yeah, because they could follow a 7-game losing streak with a 7-game winning streak and get to 8 and 7, but then they've got to win at least.
They got to get 1 to have a shot.
Just like last year.
And I don't know if their 9 will be the right 9 either. That's the other problem.
Yeah, they don't look good tiebreaker wise.
I mean, they're 4 and 5 in the conference right now. If you pick them to lose one of those 2 games and they beat the Jets, that gets them, that's 6 and 6 in conference.
Yeah. That's not going to win.
I don't think that'll be good enough because right now the Bengals are 5-3. The
But
Colts are 6-3.
What Felipe is alluding to is he could see them winning 8 straight, but then they'd have to beat the Patriots to make the playoffs, just like last year they had to beat the Bills to make the playoffs.
Right. And they could beat the Titans the week before and do it.
They could. I wouldn't bet it, but
I'd say they'd beat the Titans before they beat the Patriots twice.
I think we all agree with that.
20 seconds.
Remember, it's going to be a big game for the Titans, who are competing for seeding also. That loss last Sunday for the Raiders was monstrous.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network kicking around on this, Football Friday. Not as much football as there has been, obviously, with there just being one college game tomorrow, which I'll get to in a moment. There is some news this morning and some news from when most of you probably went to bed. The story broke just before midnight. Demaryius Thomas, 33 years of age, standout wide receiver, mostly with the Broncos, found dead in his home in Georgia yesterday. Foul play not suspected. He apparently had a medical condition in 2021. Friends of his said he had some seizures recently. Demaryius Thomas, 33 years old. And news in the last 90 minutes that Al Unser Sr., passed away after a long battle with cancer. 4-time Indy 500 winner, was 82 years old. So stuff that you may have missed from when it is that you went to bed last night. Mark, I did reference the one college game. It's my favorite game of the year. Tomorrow. They moved it to Jersey 20 years after the attacks on September 11th. Army-Navy. Can I give you a betting trend or two?
Sure. Go right ahead.
This game has gone under 15 years in a row. Yet it's the lowest over-under in college football in 20 years. 20 years. The over-under right now is 34.5. So
based on all the trends we had yesterday that said take the Steelers in the under, I am going to hammer, and I mean absolutely, based on what you just said. How many unders in a row?
It's gone under 15 years in a row.
Hammer, and I mean hammer the over. It's going to be 70 degrees, you said, 65 degrees, something like that?
Yep.
Hammer the over.
And you know what, Mark? There's plenty of good. Army, in fact, has hit the over-under by themselves in half their games this year.
Hammer the over.
So you're betting into a monster trend, but I actually like what you're thinking.
I hate trends.
The underdog has done a little better in the last 15, 20 years in this series than the favorite. Navy's getting 7. It's been 7.5 in spots. Army is 8-3 and Navy is 3-8, although Navy plays a tougher schedule. Navy lost to Air Force, Army won at Air Force. But so if you're just, for non-entertainment purposes only, if that's your only interest in Army, Navy, if you have interest in the game, I don't have to explain, what the game means and all that, and that it'll be played in MetLife Stadium because they're going to be honoring and remembering the attacks of September 11th. I mean, don't need us to pay homage to that, but just, if you're 3:00 tomorrow and you're jonesing, there's some info. Do with it what you will.
The text line is you text FSN Radio to 21,000. FSN Radio, it's all one word, to 21,000. You can watch the show by simply going to twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Download the Twitch app, search out Miller and Moulton. You can follow us. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you get a free subscription, which means you bypass commercials and other things that they have on Twitch, and you can join in the little Twitch chat group that goes on throughout the show with the regulars that are there every single morning. We certainly appreciate all of you, however you take in this show. Yesterday, I took in confession for the first time in 35 years. My daughter had her first confession. The wife said, "Are you coming?" I said, "Sure, why not?" She said, "How many are you going to give him?" I said, "Just the highlights, honey, just the highlights. If not, we'll be here all damn day." But I bring that up for only one reason, because we are taking your confessions today, sports or otherwise. We had someone who said their confession is their senior year in high school, that they put their books in the locker the first day, shut the locker. At the end of the year, had to get the combination from the office because they never opened their locker. I found that to be really funny. So that's why I don't care. You go sports or otherwise. Someone just nominated the Baltimore Orioles to go to confession, saying what the product they put on the field the last 4 years, they need to atone for. And I could not agree more. I think Kevin Cash still needs to go to confession for what he did in the World Series.
Still holding that Blake.
Yes, I am, David. They could have won a damn World Series.
Yeah, Mark, when it happened, we said, and granted, we weren't broadcasting to as big an audience as we are now, but we said at the time, how many years will it take for the Rays to get back to the position that they were in, Game 6 of a World Series, leading it in the 6th inning, a game and a half, if you will, away from winning a championship? How long will it take them to get back to that scenario?
Yeah, in that division, and as good as they are.
Amazing.
So that's where our sports confessions come from. You can go in any direction with that, and you can text us, FSN Radio, to 21,000.
Is it okay if we ask people who are running some of our favorite teams that they have to go to confession? Like, I think John Mara of the Giants needs to step into the room.
No, it doesn't have to be a team. David, come on. Our show, do whatever the hell you want. We don't care. Sometimes
do think
the inmates run the asylum. We're fine with that.
Right. Like, I don't feel that I have to. I feel that I've been a good, loyal, rational Giants fan. I do feel the people running the team, however, they have some explaining to do. They need to talk.
Like, for instance, I think that Gator basketball fan should want,
Mike
White to confess a few sins here. I think every Iowa fan's going, what the hell happened? We got pounded by Michigan, and now we can't win in anything.
Right? Things were going so well.
I mean, basketball team was doing well. We lost to Illinois after that. Then we just got pounded by Iowa State. So there is a lot out there if you choose to find it. That's all.
Teacher Tim in our Twitch chat room thinks the McCaskey family needs to go to confession. Yeah, I'm with you there. So we mentioned the Lions earlier. I'm not going to put all of it on the young Mrs. Ford, who's running things now. She inherited this mess. She is trying to clean it up. But it's getting late early, as it always seems to.
It really does.
I do love the Orioles needing to go to confession for their product lately. That I like.
Well, and that, if you're an Orioles fan too, you're a proud baseball fan. This was a once great franchise for so many years. And I think even you and I look at the Baltimore Orioles just being a hot mess of garbage and go, why? But they are the team many years ago that dumped a bunch of money in free agency. It worked as badly as it could. And it just seems they've had very few moments since then.
Yeah, they had three terrific decades, 60s, 70s, and the first half of the 80s anyway. And then they've really only had two moments in time. They had that late 90s little run, Davey Johnson as manager, and then Buck Showalter had a nice 5-year run.
And I think your NFL team, particularly if you're an AFC team, you're all going to want to confess for the one loss that you can't get back. Because during the break, David and I started going through the Bills, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Bengals, the Broncos, the Browns, all of these teams that are in this 6-6, 7-6, 6-7. Like the Dolphins need to go to confession for losing to the Jags because everything that they're doing, and even if they get their next two and they get it to 8-7, it could have been 9-6, and they're a playoff team if they'd have beaten the Jags. But then they got to finish the last two games of the season against the Titans and the Patriots. And the odds are they're going to have to get one of those to have any opportunity to qualify for the postseason, where if they'd have gotten the Jags, they'd have might still have a shot. You look at the AFC, every single team, David, that's in the hunt has a loss that they're like the Bills have their Jags loss could cost them might cost them a division at the end of the day.
Could cost them the difference between being a 1 and a 5 seed.
Right.
Right.
So I think everybody in the AFC has a loss that they would like to go to confession and be forgiven for. At least one.
And as we head to break, Mike Brown of the Bengals, I don't want to put it on their fairly new and young head coach, and certainly not on Burrow and Chase and company. But Mike Brown needs to go because the Bengals' playoff win drought is actually a year longer than Detroit's. The Bengals' last season that they won a playoff game was 1990. The Lions won their playoff game in 91. I will say, Mark, and maybe it's the I-75 connection, whatever, but we seem to be all over the Lions far more than the Bengals.
Funny you say that because if it wasn't for the Bucs winning the Super Bowl last year, being on I-75 is essentially a curse.
Well,
Lions,
right.
Bengals,
Falcons,
Bucs. And really, if you want to take it since they've continued the alley, Dolphins. Because all of the Miami Dolphins' success came before I-75 went all the way down to Miami.
Well played.
Ha!
Well played. Huh. Is there an I-75 curse?
There was. You know who broke it? Tom Brady.
Well.
So Detroit, Cincinnati, Atlanta.
You know what you need to get?
A Tom Brady.
We could all use a Tom Brady.
God bless, could we ever?
28 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
This just come in, David?
Yeah, he just texted me back.
Okay.
And he said I can do it right now.
I think this is the one that's got the buddy in our Twitch chat room.
And I was trying to do
I got you.
A Bucks Bills segment today.
Do me a favor. Can you just I'll text it to you.
Are we about to have a guest?
Yes.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Computer or phone?
Phone. I'm getting it to you right now.
All right.
Can you spell his name properly for me?
Yes.
instead of phonetically? Thank you. I just don't want to have to look it up right now. Buffalo News?
Bills Radio Network,
Bills
550.
Radio Network. Okay. That's all I need.
550 WGR.
Bills Radio Network's plenty. Thank you. I think this is one of our Twitch chatters buddies,
Okay.
if memory serves me right. Isn't that right? Aren't one of you buddies with this guy? If you're in there right now, I don't remember if it was you, Arch. I thought one of you had given me this name a while back. He spelled it to me phonetically because I can't pronounce crap. No, it wasn't you, Arch. One of you folks here in the Twitch chat room had a buddy who was on the Bills Radio Network, and it's obviously not you.
Sal is on hold.
All right. I had to laugh, David. We got a Philly fan who texted in. He goes, they need to confess they've neglected the linebacker for too long penance. Gardner Minshew to the Steelers for their top linebacker. All right, if you're the Steelers, would you trade Devin Bush for Gardner Minshew right now?
Hell no.
They hate Devin Bush right now.
I know they do.
He's been terrible. How was he last night?
Had a couple nice pass breakups, but he was tough to find.
That's
defending the run. Although I got to tell you,
so was everyone else.
It's not like the four guys in front of him were anywhere to be found either.
I bet he does. Chi-Town finds.
I'm surprised Lee didn't just say, let's go right now, 1,000 a hole.
Let me know when we have Sal.
We do.
We do.
Oh, well, then there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. Love it when a plan comes together.
30 seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Pat Kirwan, all things NFL, coming up at the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton will make our picks on this weekend slate coming up later on, maybe an hour from now. While we're at it, Gary Ferman to join us in the bonus hour. We'll put this week in Canes sports in perspective and then move forward. But first, it's a pleasure to catch up with Sal Capaccio, Bills Radio Network, 550 WGR in Buffalo. You can follow Sal on Twitter at Sal Sports. That's at Sal Sports. Sal, it's David and Mark. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
Pretty good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure. Sal, before we move forward, and we wanted you to talk Bills Bucks, obviously. Big game in our neck of the woods, just like it's a big game in your neck of the woods. But can we go back to Monday? A, how is the loss playing out in your neck of the woods? But also B, the little media kerfuffle afterwards in terms of the run defense and how the players took exception to how some of the questions were asked. Sal, how has this week played out?
Boy, it's been an interesting week here. It's played out with the fan base, as you can imagine. A lot of people really upset, looking to blame a lot of different people on the field, off the field, whatever, coaches, players. It was a really big game here. And the Bills not only lost, but lost the way they did to a team that only threw 3 passes, which is partly why we can get to what happened after the game. But B, a big part of it was who they lost to. You have to remember, this is a team, the New England Patriots, that dominated the Buffalo Bills for 20 years. And, we just got sick of them here in Buffalo. There's a fear bunker in every house in Western New York because it's just so afraid of seeing the Patriots on top again, right? And, could have been the Dolphins or the Jets, and it might hit differently. I think it would have, because it's the Patriots. And, we're just tired of seeing it. After 1 year, we thought, okay, that dragon has been slayed. And there goes Tom Brady down to Tampa. But here they come again. And now they're back on top. And it's Bill Belichick. And you go back to Bill Belichick here in Buffalo to Super Bowl 25 when he's the defensive coordinator of the Giants. And how he slowed down the K-Gun. I think that's baked into the psychology of it, right? So obviously people are really upset and they're looking for someone to blame. And, you look right at what happened running the ball. With the wind conditions, guys, I've been a sideline reporter for 8 years. It was the windiest game I've ever been involved in. And I was incredibly impressed how Josh Allen could actually throw the ball in the wind. 15 of 30 was a great day in that wind. The Patriots elected to not throw the ball. They threw the ball 3 times. They come out with 222 yards. They had 54 on one play. Other than that, the Bills allowed them less than 4 yards to carry, I believe. So after the game, a reporter asks Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, it's the first time in 40 years a team won without throwing the ball more than 3 times. Is that embarrassing? And they took exception to that. And I understand that. I think that this is part of the problem of not having access to the locker room during these COVID situations, in this situation, and getting guys at the podium for a more very formal setting instead of talking to them personally, building relationships, and being able to maybe ask a question that hits a little bit differently, at a locker. Plus, 10 minutes after the game, they still have their pads on. They're coming out, cooling off, but they're upset. And look, that's a trigger word, embarrass. You say the word soft to a team or embarrassed to a player. These are NFL players. So I think the question could have been better, and I think maybe the reaction could have been better. So I think there's a lot there that people could have been better about.
And for the record, David and I talked about it. We have no problem when there's a bad question for an athlete to look and say, that's a bad question. It's not a terrible answer. And Sal, I think you make a hell of a point about the locker room access. As someone who did minor league hockey for 15 years, my interviews were great because I rode buses with guys and I knew where I could fit a question in because I had relationships. Right. And I think that point really is missed on so many people. And Sal, as I'm listening to you talk about the Patriots and the Patriot, and how the Bills have a bunker. Sal, I hate to tell you this, but the Bills pissed off the rest of the nation because we all feel the same way about the Patriot fans everywhere as they do in Buffalo. It's just commonplace with almost every fan base now. You either are a Patriot fan or you hate them. Here's the bad news for Buffalo. After that game, and whatever adjective you want to use to describe what happened on Monday, you get to play Tom Brady now on Sunday, because if it wasn't bad enough that the Patriots have owned the Bills, the reason that they did was because of number 12. I'm with you, however. The one thing I loved about Josh Allen is how well he threw it. His receivers let him down on Monday. I think Josh Allen can throw it around on the Bucs. Do you?
Yeah, and look at guys. The Bills struggle to run the ball in the traditional sense. Their best runner is Josh Allen. They don't do a very good job of running with their running backs. Their numbers are okay running the ball this year, but that's a lot of it because of Josh. On Brady, he obviously is that one. It's funny because I've always really, really respected Tom and what he's doing. Here, I'm a 48-year-old dude as a weekend warrior for what he's doing. I'm really respecting of it, right? But people have said so much now in Buffalo. Boy, I'm really starting to like Tom more now that he's away from the Patriots, and I see him on all these documentaries and what it takes, But he wears a different logo. But this week it's ramped up with Brady again because of what he meant. And you're right. This is the path to victory for the Bills. I really do. I expect Josh Allen to throw the ball about 40 to 45 times. I think that's how the Bills have to win this game. And it's a better matchup for them. Look, even though the Patriots, the Buccaneers beat the Patriots and the Buccaneers are defending Super Bowl champion, I think this matchup actually is better for the Bills than the Patriots because the Patriots are a physical run football team where the Buccaneers can run. I know that, but they're going to want to throw the ball. The Bills are the number one pass defense in the league. They have tremendous safeties and Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. They don't allow you to get over the top of them. They have a great system and scheme with McDermott and Frazier. They're the number 2 scoring defense in the league. And the Bills can throw the football, and they'll spread you sideline to sideline, and they'll test the depth of the secondary, which I know the Buccaneers are hurting. I mean, you have Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Gabriel Davis, Cole Beasley. That's going to be a handful, I think, for the Buccaneers to handle if Josh Allen throws the ball 40 times.
He's Sal Capaccio, Bills Radio Network, 550 WGR in Buffalo. Follow him on Twitter at Sal Sports, Sal, it's a simple question. It may come off as loaded. It's not meant to be. How in the world are the Bills 7-5? They're better than this. For goodness sakes, they've scored 150 more points than their opponents. How are they 7-5?
The simple answer is inconsistency that has not been there for the last several years. One of the most impressive things about Sean McDermott and his tenure here in Buffalo to me has been his consistency. I've always said that about him. You always know what you're going to get. They're very prepared. They're organized. They're disciplined. This has been a very inconsistent year. They have now rotated wins and losses in their last 7, which is amazing. They haven't won 2 games in a row. You know what else they haven't done? Lost 2 games in a row. Every time they've lost, they've come back. I will tell you that in their 5 losses, one of them they got blown out. That was against the Indianapolis Colts 3 weeks ago. The other 4, they lost by 1 score and had the ball at the end of the game. They are literally 4 or 5 plays from being 10-1. Now, they're also, you could say about a lot of teams, so it's not an excuse at all. They're just inconsistent. What they're doing is, they're really hurting themselves in critical situations with penalties. The drive goes back. You saw it Monday night. They had a big series at the end of the game. They get a false start. Now it makes it more challenging. They've hurt themselves with fumbles in key situations. And the running game on both sides of the ball has just not been the way they want, which is running the ball on offense and then stopping the run on defense consistently enough. And that's how it's been. There's a lot of debate here, too, about it seems like Josh Allen's running a little bit less. Look, they paid the guy $250 million in the offseason. I mean, he's their franchise quarterback. We don't know if it's because they're dialing it back to not get him hurt or anything like that, but he needs to be more involved. I mean, he's a great weapon for them. So there's a lot going on.
Sal, I've been having a little fun today on the show because my daughter had her first confession and I went with her. It was my first one in 35 years. So we've asked the sports fan today to do, their team's confession. What would be the Bills' confession outside of losing to the Jags game, which could cost them the division and the 1? That's the big one. But what's the other truth serum? What's the other confession the Bills would make today about this team if you think they have one, if you know what I mean?
Probably they did not address the offensive line well enough in the offseason. The Bills ran it back, essentially, was what they have. They had a very good right tackle in Darrell Williams. They re-signed, but they moved it into Nagar because they have a 3rd-round pick in Spencer Brown. They wanted to get on the field, and that's fine. And that's really been the only addition, Spencer Brown. Other than that, Deion Dawkins at left tackle. Deion got COVID very, very badly in the preseason and training camp. He's in the hospital. He hasn't been the same this year. He's a little more inconsistent. Their guard play has just not been good. Cody Ford was a miss a couple of years ago, a draft pick. I think that, and even if you want to point to a running back, I think it's less of a point. I think because, lots of running backs are interchangeable. But I think some way, somehow, not addressing the running game, which was a bit of an issue last year, that would be their confession.
Sal, are you curious as to how the Bills are going to handle this? They were the marked team this year. So far, they're not living up to expectations, and now they're behind the proverbial 8 ball. They probably look at the standings and the schedule and go, we got to win out. Are you curious? Are you fearful? How is it that you're looking at this next stretch when they play, Tampa Bay, and then 2 weeks later they play New England? This, to me, feels like the entire, last 5 years has been built to handle the next 3 weeks.
Not fearful, not The first word you used, I can't remember. I am curious, yes. Look, I'll go back to what I said about McDermott since he's been here. This is a good program. The Bills have built a really strong, good program. Internally, they have a great culture. They have been very consistent. They aren't this year, but they don't let losses stack up. They really, truly approach every week as a week-by-week basis. And I think that, you know that the best teams throughout sports over the years have been the ones that don't get too high, don't get too low. That's the way the Bills have been. They don't get too high, they don't get too low. Have they been inconsistent? Yes. But the season has not gotten away. They don't let that happen. I am curious because it is a bit of a tough spot that they, people expect them to be better. I did. I expected them. But look, even the Vegas odds have them, I think, still in the top 5 of winning the Super Bowl. Because if you look at their roster, 53 for 53, they're still maybe arguably the best roster in the AFC. You could say that. They haven't played like it necessarily. I get it. But they have the right people there to not let this spiral. So I am curious, but not fearful at all. In fact, I would go the opposite way. I'm more confident when they are in these situations like they were when they went to New Orleans on Thanksgiving night after getting completely blown out 4 days earlier to the Indianapolis Colts. And then they just basically smothered them. I know they had injuries and stuff, but that was tough on the road on a short week, national television. So this is an interesting spot for them. The Bills generally respond really well in these types of spots.
Sal, we appreciate you making time for us, particularly on short notice. Safe travels and enjoy the warm weather. And hopefully we can talk again soon.
Yeah, I'll be enjoying it this afternoon. My son just turned 8 years old last week, so his birthday present is going down to Tampa to go to a road game, and we'll be doing that. I used to live there. I was in Englewood, Florida for 16 years, actually. So I was the only man in America who chose to leave Florida to move back to
You are, Sal. That is confirmed. There's no doubt in my mind. But enjoy the trip. Happy birthday to your son, and hopefully we talk soon, Sal.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. Happy holidays.
Sal Capaccio, Bills Radio Network, 550 WGR in Buffalo. Hey, at least the Bills started winning for him. Those first couple of years, he had to be looking around going, wait a minute, what did I do? Then they got Josh Allen. Now life's a lot better.
Was a lot better. And if they get Sunday, it will be a lot better quickly. If they don't get Sunday, it'll be a few weeks of misery around there. And again, they're going to make the playoffs. I'm very confident in that. But playoffs were not the expectations for the Bills. A 1 seed was the expectation for the Bills.
I'll tell you what, though. They would be the wild card team of the 3 in the AFC. They'd probably be the one that everybody else would be like, man, I really don't know if I want to face those guys. Kind of like the spot Tampa was in last year. Kind of like, really? It's a hell of a wild card team.
Right. And I think the Rams are similar if they get their act together.
Yeah, I just don't know about their depth. But, yeah, their A game, man, they had that run at the beginning of the year. They looked as if they were better than everybody.
Well, and that's why for one game, David, in the postseason, I think they could be really dangerous. And you could see them in a position that they've got that 5 all locked up into week 18 and not have to do a whole lot to play whoever they're going to play the following week.
And don't you think with Stafford, the weight on his shoulders, if they enter the playoffs, if they can win that first game, that, all bets are off. He may just, the old John, he may play quarterback the way Daly played golf. He may just grip it and rip it the rest of the month.
Man, I hope so. I think we'd all like to see it. I think we all think he deserves it. Anybody that was in Detroit that long deserves it, David.
He's an easy guy to root for. Tough quarterback. Been to the playoffs twice. Yet to get a win.
Just keep the pretzels away from his wife.
Oh, there's no doubt. She's not even going on the road anymore. Even she has said, she said, listen, I screwed up.
She knows.
She has said it every way possible.
Yep, and I'm still going to give her grief because she threw a pretzel at somebody.
She did.
Would have been great if the person would have caught it and took a bite and thrown it back at her.
What are we catching home run balls at Wrigley Field?
Something. At least this one you could eat.
That's
Pat
true.
Kirwan will eat up some NFL with him on the other side. Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton right here exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Visit gpstpete.com now to secure the best.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Let me check to see if it's snowing.
Oh,
Thought the hoe was for the snow.
no, the hoe is for EA Sports launching its new college football game in the summer of 2023.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
I didn't see. I knew it was coming. I just didn't see the announcement yesterday.
That's gonna be big.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I didn't realize EA Sports announced that college football is coming back summer of 23.
You ever played one of those games?
Who you asking?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
5 million times.
No, yes, so you have. Yeah.
I love video games.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Oh, you have to understand that I probably have screenshots of my phone of when I beat my kid in NHL hockey, that I would take a picture of the screen and talk smack to him. I'd quit. If I beat him once, I wouldn't let him play me anymore because he would. He's a kid and he'd dominate me. And I get him about once every 4 or 5 games, and then I would just both hands over the head, walk around the house.
NHL is fun.
I'm getting my daughter her first video game for. Oh wow, that was a terrible missed dunk. I'm getting my daughter her first, because she likes car racing games on her little tablet. So she's getting her first PlayStation game for Christmas this year. It's going to be a racing game.
Ooh, which got a PS4?
No. I have a PS4. Actually, she has a PS4 because my wife needed a DVD player. So I convinced my wife that we should get a PS4 so that way the daughter can stream and eventually she'll want to play with that.
Right.
And I play my kid in hockey in Raleigh. We'll play hockey online.
By the way, because the NHL games, they took a year off, but they're back now. Part of their promotion is Chell is back. Like they call it.
Yeah, Chell. I know. That's what I get I get the text from my kid. Want to play Chell?
Let's play some Chell.
Yep. Me and he and his roommate. The 3 of us will play. Because there's a 3-on-3 game that's actually really fun. That you play against, it's actually the Chell World or whatever it is, whatever the World of Chell or whatever it's called.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, I've joked. I said I'm going to put it on my Twitch page, but I'm like, you guys, I know that you're the age that you're at, and I know the words that fly out of your mouth. We can't do that because that would be bad if you say things that I don't care if they swear, but I just I know what kids your age will sometimes call one another.
Yeah.
And those are things we can't say anymore.
What button layout do you use? You a hybrid guy?
I don't remember. I've not played this that much. I used to play all the time, so I think it is the hybrid with the hockey.
Yeah.
I used to love FIFA. That's how I knew all my soccer
Yes.
players. Was Jake and I had soccer. He used to play it all the time. That's how I knew guys.
Yes. EA makes great games except for Madden. Madden sucks. I hate Madden.
Yeah, but a lot of people are that way.
It's just,
I've got to get the golf game too that everybody's raving about.
2K, yeah.
Yeah, 2K, right? That's what I told my kid to get me for Christmas.
You can build your own golf courses in that game.
That's what I heard. Like it, David.
The plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
So what was a pretty light day, I think we've filled well.
Well, I got to be frank with you. It was really good getting Sal there. That was.
Yeah, it's a game that I felt we need to spend time on.
It just,
right. You know.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour, halfway home for those of you in the 239, final hour of the show and of the week for those of you in the Tampa St. Pete area. We thank you very much for listening to Miller and Moulton and accepting the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. You can watch while listening to the Miller and Moulton channel on twitch.tv. If you miss any part of the show, we podcast this sucker within about an hour of the show being done. MillerandMoulton.com, MillerandMoulton.com. 1 hour from now, Gary Ferman to catch up on the week that was with the Miami Hurricanes. But right now, it's our weekly chat, our second one of the week. With Pat Kirwan, he of NFL Today Show on CBS, but his main gig co-hosting weekday afternoons on NFL radio. The show is called Moving the Chains, 3 to 7 with his co-host Jim Miller. Pat joins us every week courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, how are you?
I'm doing fine, and I don't know, what did you watch last night, David? Did you watch a team that was asleep and then they woke up and they almost did it? I wouldn't want to be Chase Claypool today walking around Pittsburgh.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah, our producer's chastising him just because he has him on the fantasy team. What about people that actually were affected by the game? You're right, Pat.
Steeler fans know football, and they will not tolerate that stuff. And David, you had a bird's eye view. Ben, during the second quarter, looked like he was going to explode on the sideline, and anyone in his path was getting a mouth and an earful from him.
Well, at one point, Troy Aikman made the comment in which he said, I've been where Ben is, and quite frankly, he is doing a much better job of keeping it together than I would have.
Yeah, it's tough to watch, really. If you're a Steeler fan and you really appreciate good, solid football, but I don't know, in the trenches, the Steelers of all teams, they just don't really have enough on defense, and they don't have enough talent on offense. So the lines of scrimmage are a mess. But anyway, they're somewhat still alive in the crazy world of the seventh seed in the playoffs, and I think the NFL tickled with that. But a lot of teams are going to say, oh, I'm still in it. We're still in it. So, and they're going to feel that way as well. But
Pat,
I don't know how realistic it is.
Well, we've been kind of going through it. You look at the AFC, you got the whole AFC North. Someone's going to win the division. 3 teams are going to vie for a spot. You've got the Bills and I don't think the Dolphins, but technically they're still in it. You got a handful of teams in the West that are still in it. The Colts are still in it. Here's the thing that I've noticed, Pat. It looks like everybody, with the exception of the Bills, all the rest of the teams that are in the hunt for this thing are seemingly playing one another. So I think the right 9 and 8 probably is going to get in for that 7 spot even though I'm not going to think that much of the football team that's there.
I think you're right. Yeah, I do. I just hope someone doesn't get in with a losing record, so we have to all deal with too many teams are in. But generally, the 6th seed over the last couple of years has had a winning record. Now we're pushing it into the 7th. See if they can do it. Look, the league loves what's going on, but you're right. The schedule makers, and we've talked about this before, when they decided to put all these division games down the stretch, they changed the complexity of everything, and it's fun to watch. And I don't know, you look at all these teams and you ask yourself, well, who's got a nice looking schedule? And I see 9-8 at a couple places, but I also think of teams like Indianapolis. They got to play the Patriots and the Cardinals back to back here coming up, and they'll fade like that fast. They'll all of a sudden be on the wrong end of this thing. So the dark horse of all those teams, I don't know, Bill Cowher kind of thinks it might be the Raiders.
Well, I think that game last week, they outplayed Washington more than Washington outplayed them, but obviously they lost on the scoreboard, which they've done down the stretch the last 2 seasons more times than not. That's the other thing, Pat. Some of these teams are also facing their own demons. Can the Browns get back over the hump and get out of their own way and start a Bills-like run where they're going to make the playoffs seemingly every year? The Bengals have their own playoff history. The Raiders have had all the obstacles in season. Never mind that group knows they've faded like a, cheap suit each of the last 2 years. I mean, there's a lot of weight on a lot of teams' shoulders here as they enter the stretch.
There's no doubt about that. And I sometimes like to compare the NFC counterpart to the AFC. So when I think of Buffalo, I also think Rams, like probably a 5 seed when it's all said and done, and probably good enough to win another division, but not this division, not the way the Patriots are playing. So there's 2 very dangerous teams if they get to the postseason in the 5 spot, because they'll open up against the 4. And a lot of times, the 5 seed's better than the 4. The 4 is the worst division winner, and the 5 tends to be a very good team. So I think that's where they'll end up. I mean, today they're in the 7 hole, but I don't think it's going to stay like that. I think they'll move up to the 5.
Talked about that earlier in the show. Look, at when you talk to these teams, I'm just curious, have you talked to Stefanski and the Browns recently? Because they're another team that's in that boat that when you look at, we've got 3 winning streaks, the Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Dolphins. And the Dolphins is by schedule. Pat, that's where I just keep coming back to. You look at all of these teams, there's no one, in my opinion, good enough in that middle of the pack area to go on a run. What are you hearing from the Browns? And are they the team that you think, I mean, that schedule's pretty difficult too. Do they have the ability to win 4 of their next 5?
Probably not. I like a lot of things about that team, but Baker's having his struggles. I don't think they're taking him off the field unless he's on a stretcher. So you're going to ride with him, I believe. And like a lot of guys, I think, would have said last week, let's pull him and put Keenum in, but they didn't do it, and nor do I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to try to ride this out with Baker, and I think they're really looking past, and I hate to say it this way, I think the front office is trying to figure out, is he worth anything? Is he worth, like I said, it's pretty simple. Don't worry about it. Just make him play next year on the option and draft one if you want to. But I think they're trying to think about what to do with him, and I think they want to see him play through all this stuff. He is not 100% healthy. He is gritty as could be, but you're asking me to think, can Baker go 4-1? I would say no, and I have a feeling both of you would say no.
I would.
It's tough to have faith, quite frankly, in any of the 7-6, 6-6 teams there in the AFC. We don't see a run coming from anyone not named Buffalo. And that's why, we're looking, Mark, I think, is about ready to give up on Indianapolis, Pat. He has been, like I've pounded the table all year for the Vikings. He pounded the table all year for the Colts. You still going to pound the table?
They're in 9-7. You write
Okay.
it down. Write
All
it
right.
down, everybody. They're in. Look at everybody's schedule. Indianapolis has 2 guaranteed wins. That might be enough. I know what you say, Pat. They're playing the Pats and they're playing the Cardinals. I think if they get the other two, they're in.
Well, I think it does come down to the Raider game now, doesn't it? Because I think you'd all agree they beat Jacksonville. It comes down to the Raider game for them.
Yep.
On the assumption they're going to lose two, New England and Arizona. They're going to win one, Jacksonville. It really just comes down to the Raider game to prove your 9-win point of view. So that game I'm going to circle right now. And probably the same problem for the Raiders themselves. Because what do they have? They've got Kansas City and Cleveland and Denver. They might be in the exact same boat. So I think for your cult theory, you got to beat the Raiders.
And they're the 7, because I think the Chargers are in and I think the Bills are in. And everybody else is fighting for that last spot.
I agree with that.
Don't forget about the Bengals. I'm telling you.
They're fighting for the last spot, though, David, I think.
Pat, before we get to the game specifically.
I feel like the Bengals can maybe win the division.
Well, it could turn out to be a big loss by the Ravens last week. Remember, they do have 8 starters on IL. All right, before we get to the specific games after the break, I want to ask you one final question before we go to break. Arizona, why are we not believing they can rush the passer? The offense is pretty darn good, thank you very much. Yeah, the run defense has been shaky. The secondary's been better than we thought it would be. They are 10-2. They're undefeated on the road. Is it because their name is Arizona? Is it their style of play? Why is it we're not believing of Arizona?
I think it is the perception of who they are, who they've been for a long time. People that love the Cardinals will cite, hey, we were better than you think a couple different times. We went to a Super Bowl, all that, but it is perception, not reality, because reality is totally on the side of supporting them, which is a dangerous thing when you think about perception. They're 10-2. They've done everything you've said, and people still don't believe. Now, they're going to play the Rams this week. There's a lot of rematch games this week. That's the other thing. 6 of them. I talked to Bart Scott about that a lot yesterday. So they're going to play the Rams, and they'll beat the Rams, and people will still have that perception. Then they're going to get Detroit, so people will stop talking about them. Then they're going to get Indy. No one will care because they'll beat them. Then they're going to go to Dallas, and then Seattle. So they're going to land up with, I don't know, maybe 14 wins. And I still think people are going to say, well, they're going to have to get to the Super Bowl for me to believe in them. So I don't think anyone is looking at the rest of the schedule is going to say anything. But, yeah, they look pretty good. But, and then they would try to tell you why, and maybe I'm one of them, why Green Bay is chasing them and they have the win over them. So all they have to do is slip up here, and Green Bay is going to slide into the 1 seed. They're playing the Bears. They win. Arizona, what if they lose to the Rams? All of a sudden, Green Bay's the 1, and that's exactly what happened in New England last week, right? Boom, they're the 1 seed. As soon as Green Bay gets to the 1, if that happens, everyone will think they have Arizona in the right place, a 2 or 3 seed. And I do think it's all perception. You can't really say there's something negative about this team.
They've done it with a backup quarterback. You know, they've done it a lot of different ways. I think they're kind of like that 14-2 Baltimore team, a really good Tennessee team from a few years back that we just don't trust them. As we go to break, I advise everybody to join us, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, because Pat's sticking around for another segment. And those of you in the Twitch chat room, well, we let you ask Pat Kirwan a couple of questions during the break. The rest of you will get to all of the games on the other side with the aforementioned Pat Kirwan from NFL Radio Moving the Chains right here on Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and fitness trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted.
wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right, Pat, we got a couple of decent questions here. I'll let you give the Jim Miller grade to this because he'd be the right one. He says, could you please ask Pat, and I'm going to say / Jim Miller, what letter grade he would give the Bears locker room culture?
Well, the locker room culture, I think, is not bad. You can't look at the Bears and think they're not trying. They play hard. They're not very talented. And so consequently, they're a losing team. But I wouldn't give it to the coach necessarily in this as he's the inspiration. I think that although the defense is playing poorly right now, I think the players play hard. I have not watched them play and say, hey, they gave up on the season.
Right.
Although it would be understandable if they did. So the culture question, easy to give them a good grade. And let me give them a B for that. But talent is probably a D.
And Noreen there, we might save that one for on air because that's probably worthy of on air. But someone just asked, what's the most memorable game you've attended?
The most memorable game I've attended.
My guess is you're going to say the next one, but that's
20 Super Bowls in a row. So I think you always got to jump and take the first thing that comes in your head. The most memorable game I attended was the Patriots beating the greatest show on turf when they were supposed to lose by double digits, and they came out of the tunnel all hand in hand as a team, nobody individually introduced. They played man under 2 deep and basically said, you can beat us if Kurt Warner wants to run. Otherwise, you're not going to beat us. And then what they did to win that game, I thought it just jumped out at me. I was on the sideline for most of it, and it was a very impressive performance by underdogs.
Love this question. Someone says, so the Finns, O-line, several draft picks that were graded out about where they were supposed to, and they're not playing up to potential. He's asking, is it where Chris picked them, or is it coaching? Is it both? Is it scheme? People, and this is, I think, a question almost every team. Yet the Bengals are in the same boat. Teams that have spent a lot of capital on offensive line and it doesn't work. Is there a main cause? Does Paul Alexander have anything, Pat?
Yeah, I think Paul feels some of the linemen are going to develop nicely, but hard to evaluate line when you look at their running back situation. It's not very good. Do they have a dominating running back that can make a guy miss? Is there a guy that can drop his shoulder and help and knock through a blocker on his way to a 10-yard gain? They don't have that guy. They also are trying to play with a quarterback that hasn't started 20 games. So you got a quarterback who's green as grass, and you don't have a power running back. And your top receivers in and out of the lineup. So, yes, the focus is on the line. Yes, they're going to have to get 2 or 3 more players into the mix with the line. But there's a lot of things that go into why that line is just okay. But I get a lot of callers that want to just attack the line all the time. And when I bring up the points I just made, they kind of go, yeah, I never really thought of it that way. But a great running back helps. A quarterback that is ready to be a pro every day, every play would help as well.
And then when's the next Blades home game?
Wednesday.
Oh, good. $3 beer
and
night.
Friday. Yeah.
I will say, guys, I don't know if there's 5 radio shows in the country that give you a guest one-on-one like this during a commercial break.
Like doing it.
Yep. So thank you, Pat. That's awesome. Really, really awesome. Heard your courses. Is the course still in great shape?
Yes. Really good.
What shape's your game in?
You were right. It was going to take 2 years to fill in properly, and it did.
Yep, that's where we are. Ours is starting to really come together, too.
We got 30 seconds.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, when I play really early in the morning. In fact, I was already over hitting balls before I came on with you guys, and then I'll join some guys on the turn. But the greens are as fast as lightning when they're wet, which is really scary. I never play in the late afternoon because of radio. I can't even imagine how fast they are then.
10 seconds.
Okay, cut them down.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes past the hour, our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan, CBS's NFL Today show. Moving the chains weekday afternoons on NFL radio. Pat joins us twice a week during the season, courtesy of Pinchers. From Tampa to Key West, with many locations in between, a dozen in all. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. All right, Pat, before we get to the games, do want to address, and a few people have commented in the Twitch chat room, Demaryius Thomas. You often do training camp tours, shockingly, suddenly passing away late last night at the age of 33. Didn't know if you had any thoughts on the gentleman they referred to as DT.
Well, I've interviewed him a number of times. I wouldn't say we were friends or anything, but a very respectful guy, real gentleman. Never, and there's a lot of diva receivers out there. He was never one of those kind of guys. I used to love to talk to him about his college experience, going to a school that, ran the offense it ran, but there were, he was not the first of great receivers that came out of there. I was shocked this morning when I saw that. It just, and I was out last night with former head coach, and we were talking about how many guys are sick and how many guys die too early, and it's a shame. I don't know what the cause was yet, and I don't think it's been out there yet, but all I remember was he was just a gentleman, besides very talented.
The college, by the way, is Georgia Tech that Pat was referencing, and they have had elite receivers come from there, even though they're not known for having a pro-style offense.
All right, let's get to some of the games, Pat. Start with, we talked a little bit about the Browns in the last segment and a little bit during the break there as well. They've got the Ravens. It's my favorite game of the 1 o'clock games. The Browns are at home. It's obviously a must win. The Ravens are as banged up as any team in the league. What do you think?
Well, it's a rematch game. Again, it's one of the 6 of them. It's 16-10 the last time they played, which was shocking in that game. Just as a reminder, Cleveland rushed for 40 yards. And Lamar throws 4 interceptions and wins anyway. So I got asked yesterday, do you think they'll blitz Lamar? Because certain teams like Miami and them have blitzed them successfully. I go, you got to really ask yourself, why would you blitz a guy that you picked off 4 times? And they didn't really score. 16 points they scored. I think you'll feel a little bit of pressure, but I do think that they feel like we'll get him to throw the ball to us, which he's capable of doing. Lamar, in the last 5 games, 7 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 4 of those, of course, to Cleveland, and 21 sacks. You guys tell me, would you rather sack Lamar or pick Lamar off? And I think that'll be the defensive meeting room on Tuesday got into that debate for sure.
Well, got to figure the Browns are going to watch an awful lot of tape from the Steelers last week, who, for the most part, didn't have to send many more than their front 4, and they sacked them 7 times and a lot of other things they did. Bills, Bucks. A lot of people thought this could be a Super Bowl preview game. Hell, it was nearly the Super Bowl last year. Buffalo, Pat, does match up well with Tampa Bay. They can throw it and they can defend the pass. And I think the line, references this matchup. Tampa's only a 3.5-point favorite at home. How live of a dog do you believe Buffalo is?
I agree with you, David, that the matchup is a better matchup than what they were subjected to in New England, partially because of the weather. But New England was running the ball, and and not giving the secondary of Buffalo a chance to show you why they're good. This will be a different kind of situation because Tampa Bay is going to throw the ball because they want to, and they're not afraid to throw the ball against anyone. So Tom Brady has seen Sean McDermott's defense many times. In fact, I just went back and looked at it, and I think he's 9. He beat him 9 times in a row. Obviously, most of it in New England. But the reason I bring it up is Buffalo's defensive secondary scheme, which involves the backers, is pretty complicated and fools a lot of young guys, and they get a lot of picks, and they disturb your passing attack. I don't think that's going to happen to Brady. I think Brady has seen enough of Sean McDermott's stuff that he's got it in his mind how to play him. Gronk is healthy as can be, and that usually answers all secondary problems. So I think Tampa Bay will show no mercy in this one. Buffalo will play hard. But if they want to let you run the ball, Tom Brady is not afraid to run the ball. He's got Fournette right where he wants him. Last 3 weeks, Fournette is 179 rushing, another 118 receiving. So he's almost at 100 yards a game. Tom will go up there, and if you want to show me something of 2 high safeties or anything that I'm even in the box, he'd probably give the ball to Fournette more than we think. But he knows what to do against that secondary. It's a good matchup in theory, but there's too much experience on Brady's part. I would say they win by 10.
We did a question on our text line asking about Richard Sherman maybe playing safety. I know that was talked about when he was with the Niners. Is that something that you think will happen by the end of the year? And should it happen?
I would do it. Richard's big. First of all, I don't know if he's ever stood next to him. He's a big athlete. He's lost a little of his quick twitch. But if you want to play big nickel, they'll call it nickel because they think he's a corner, but they'll play him inside and play him over a tight end. And he's physically capable of doing it. Yeah, I think Richard could do it. Richard's best, strongest suit is when the ball's in the air, he's a better receiver than most of the receivers he's covering. So I think they would do it. I think they've had plans to do it for a while. And I think Richard might squeeze an extra year or 2 out of his career if he appreciates this opportunity.
I know it's Monday night, but we're not going to talk to you again until Tuesday. Rams, Cardinals. It's another one, by the way, in which the Rams on paper are given a really good shot to win this game. They're only a 2.5-point road dog. Your thoughts on the Rams and how they match up with the Cardinals?
Well, people think that the Rams were supposed to be the NFC West champion, or September and October, it was all talk about the Rams, even when Arizona was surpassing them record-wise. The last time they played, another rematch game, 37-20, the Rams got beat. I wouldn't count on the Rams. I'm so suspicious of what's going on with their run defense, what's going on with their run game. And I only say that as a standard. If you think, not you guys, but if you think they're like a Super Bowl contender, you can't be flawed in the run game offense and the run game defense. And to me, they are a little of that at this point. So did they stop the run the last time they played? Connor and by then Edmonds was playing as well. They chewed it up, 30 for 170 and 2 touchdowns. So I would take the Cardinals in this.
Dallas, Washington, how do you see it?
I'm a big fan of Ron Rivera and his ability to keep an average to below average team together and competitive. Dallas, when they beat Washington, they run the ball really well. But now the 2 running backs are limping around. I don't know if I believe Jerry that Zeke's 100% and all that. And we know that Pollard's he's got plantar fasciitis. So if they don't run the ball well, they lose to Washington. I think they'll do enough. But Dallas is a hard team to fall in love with because they don't always show up. Washington's just the underdog story. So I got to be careful. I'm fired up to watch them play. They got a backup young quarterback and all their pass rushes are gone. We can give you the list. The same list we use as an excuse. They don't use it as an excuse. They're playing hard. I think Dallas, especially Dak, he's 7-1 against Washington. And Dak, the last time they played, he likes to run against these guys. So maybe he's the run game that's going to be missing with the other guys. Kind of a scramble off the pass game, run attack. So I'll take Dallas, but I think it'll be really close.
What's Mike McCarthy doing? I mean, can you imagine this guy in Green Bay saying what he said yesterday? I mean, Mike McCarthy publicly walked to the microphone yesterday and guaranteed a win against a division rival who's won 4 in a row. I mean, what in the wide world of sports is going on?
But David, you've asked me this kind of question twice a week since I met you 20 years ago. I just tell coaches all the time, just do what Belichick does. Did he ever say something like that? Never. And I don't get it. You know, maybe he's feeling the heat himself. Maybe he's trying to, and it's not the way to inspire players. It's really to inspire opponents. I don't know what he's doing that for. It's tough when you're a head coach and you have to sit at home, and his was health reasons, COVID, all that business. But to watch Dan go out there and kind of coach with classic Dan enthusiasm, then sometimes you say things. I wouldn't have said something like that, nor do I think that the Cowboys really wanted him to say something like that.
Whenever I see these two teams play, I always remember the Super Bowl at the Silverdome, and one of them had to walk in because of the ice that was there. But Niners and Bengals in a really big game. Both think they can make the playoffs. You think Cincinnati can win the division. And after their great performance against Pittsburgh, they were lousy in the first half against the Chargers, got their act together in the second half. This is a must-win for the Bengals, Pat.
A must-win for sure. And so who's coming to town? Jimmy Garoppolo's coming to town. So Jimmy's success and failures this year are easy to digest and figure out. And so what happens to Jim? 7 interceptions in his 5 losses, 1 interception in his 6 wins. Same thing holds true for sacks. Look at the 5 losses, 12 sacks. Look at the 6 wins, 1 sack a game. So sacks and interceptions. So why do I bring that up? Because it's called pressure from the defense. Hendrickson was a great addition to Cincinnati. They got enough players on that side to go and get after you. And I think that Cincinnati has enough at home. And I love the steady hand of Joe Burrow. It's not going to be great. I mean, the guy's barely got a full season of games, but he's steady enough with those 3 receivers he has. And I think the last couple of weeks we're starting to see, hey, you want to take my top receiver away? Good. The second and the third guy are pretty good too. And then there's Joe Mixon. So I think the Bengals in this game, it was 1.5 points. I don't know what it is now, 2 points, something like that. But I'd be very happy to give you 2-3 points if you want them. And I'll take Cincinnati.
Since he's actually, I believe, a home dog, which is surprising. Maybe I read that wrong, but
no, you're right. 1.5.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It was 1.5 on Monday. I know that.
Still there.
Pat, thanks for your time.
The line first.
I'm sorry, what?
I said I always like the Monday line to set the week up and then see where the line fluctuates to and why. Usually it's following medical stuff.
He's Pat Kirwan. He joins us twice a week throughout the year, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, have a great show this afternoon on NFL Radio. Safe travels, and we'll talk again Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a guy named Mark from the Stellar to call the show.
One of these, Pat, it's always busy. It's always busy.
Pat.
Something else for you on that.
I was going to say, Pat, your callers are on hold for an average of like 56 minutes. Mark won't sit on hold for 56 seconds.
Dadgum good point, Moulton.
Mark, I'm going to have to find a way to get you right in the door.
I'm guessing you know some people, Pat. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk Tuesday.
Pat Kirwan, Moving the Chains, NFL Radio, weekday afternoons with his co-host, Jim Miller, joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. We'll go through some of the games, make some picks. Maybe even a point spread or two is involved. Coming up next here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
How's your credit? Need a refrigerator? Whirlpool refrigerator.
There we go.
Fine. Come get a Whirlpool refrigerator. ApplianceDirectCredit.com. Hello. How's your credit?
Still got the knee brace on in
Your
these
credit's
commercials.
fine.
Oh, she ripped it off.
Maytag washer. ApplianceDirectCredit.com.
How old's that spot?
2015.
I thought when she first started doing the spots, she didn't have a knee brace. Shortly after doing the spots, the knee brace appeared. She did those for a long time.
Did we ever get the here we see if this
Appliance Direct in Ocala has just been shipped foreclosed appliances from Cleveland, Ohio. Washers.
There it is.
Lots of furniture,
Cleveland, folks.
brand new. 50% off. Dryers, electric, and lots of gas from Cleveland, folks. 60% off.
There it is. So for those of you that didn't know the reference, now those commercials, I just YouTubed. Oh yeah, that's different. I literally just YouTubed Appliance Direct from Cleveland, folks. And so obviously they go to towns and they go in and out. They might be in Ocala now. They were here. This is a long time ago. Were you and I even doing a show together?
Yes, we were.
We had just started doing a show together then.
Yes. But so it was in the 2000s. I thought it was the latter part of that decade.
Yeah, okay. And I mean they spent Morgan and Morgan money
for about a year and a half. Yes.
That is the Deadkirk is the Ocala guy. Is that because they also have like a Korean guy that does them that I'm seeing that people are loving too.
They're from Cleveland, folks.
Yeah, that's what just flew us from appliances from Cleveland. Why does Cleveland have the hotbed of appliances?
Right. What was the great appeal about getting your washer and dryer from Cleveland? I mean, let's face it. None of us care what truck it falls off of and where the truck is. So why was it important to know it was from Cleveland?
Right.
But it was.
Did those used to run over the show?
I mean, every commercial break there was one of those. I don't know if you're because we don't have Morgan like Morgan and Morgan's. They are obviously the lawyer. They advertise like that. If you were around when you started college, I don't know if Huge was doing the Kia ads down here, Billy Facillo. You might have just missed that.
From Cleveland.
That's their
folks. That was the other thing.
Folks.
They're from Cleveland, folks.
And by the way, on that TV ad, it said in letters, they're from Cleveland, folks, on the ad. The folks was on the screen, David. Everything's going to have a price increase with the exception of our income, Adam. Inflation's coming hard right now. Everything's more expensive.
Well, how could it not? Had a few administrations now who have been doing nothing but flooding the market with cash.
Oh, right.
I mean, everybody's going to blame it on the current guy.
The last guy did a bunch of that. That was my
last guy
buddy
was
in Oregon
throwing
goes,
money around like he had it too.
that was my buddy in Oregon goes during the middle of the pandemic. He goes, so we're not focused on the fact that we're just flooding the market with trillions of dollars right now. That apparently is not important anymore. Oh, okay.
I'm finally the king of my own castle, but my castle has leaks and ants. So I use Thumbtack to find exterminators, electricians, roofers, and plumbers. Thumbtack has everyone for everything. I can check out reviews, prices, and book the pro I like on the app. So anytime something breaks,
$30. What?
There's nothing in my head. Are we not running a commercial?
No. We have 30 seconds until we get back, though.
Okay, well, I just had a commercial in my ear and then it went away.
Yeah, it went away. Yeah.
But, well, that scares people like me. It means that there's dead air.
Yeah, I know.
Your track record this week's not very good, big boy. I don't know what to tell you.
I love when he pats us on the head, like, you guys are cute.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Keep on watching the Miller and Moulton channel on twitch.tv and keep on listening. Final segment of the week for those of you in the Tampa-St. Pete area. Thanks so much for listening. Bonus hour coming up at the top of the hour. If you have missed it in the last 9 hours or so, the news that Demetrius Thomas, 33 years of age, only retired from the NFL this past summer, found dead in his home in Georgia yesterday. They do not suspect foul play. They believe he had a medical condition. Friends of his have talked about he had suffered some seizures of late. And what has just been an awful year for the Unser family and really for IndyCar racing as a whole. Al Unser Sr., word has come in the last couple hours that he passed away at his home in New Mexico at the age of 82. Bobby Unser, Bobby Jr., and Al Sr. have all passed away here in 2021, and you throw in the two longtime ESPN IndyCar announcers, Robin Miller and I think Bob, whose last name escapes me right now, who, I mean, it's just been an awful year for IndyCar away from the track with so many legendary, forceful people in the sport passing away. So that news is out there that you may have missed from when it is you went to bed last night and you're up and about today. And unfortunately, we have to give you that news.
And good, bad, ugly, and different, David. I think for a lot of us, the last time we really remember Indy being a big sport was when there were Unsers driving. And I know that's generations ago, but that sport was overtaken by NASCAR in what, the 90s?
Yeah, I would definitely say, kind of like when baseball had their strike and the long-term impact on the sport, the same when IndyCar had the split, NASCAR was ready to pounce. Earnhardt was still getting it done. Jeff Gordon was arriving on the scene. The old and new guard was matching up perfectly and absolutely took over and hasn't let up.
Well, I think we all believe Bryce Young's going to win the Heisman, and he did so in the first half against Georgia. But the most memorable play that will last from championship week was not in that game. It wasn't even in the Big Ten championship. It was actually in the ACC title game. It was Kenny Pickett's 58-yard touchdown run.
The fake
Halfway
slide.
through that run, he fake slid. Two defenders anticipating the slide gave up. He would then score. Yesterday, the NCAA made the fake slide illegal, a.k.a. the Kenny Pickett rule. Love the fact that SI tweeted it out and had a little homage to Pickett in it, and Pickett retweeted it. I love those things. I like when they have a little fun with social media.
I will say this, and Dave Clawson of Wake Forest, he was not whining and complaining afterwards. He was asked about it because Pickett and Pitt beat Clawson and Wake in the ACC title game. And Clawson just said, hey, I know it was a legal play, but I do think we need to talk about it because that does bring us right to the edge. And I happen to agree for this reason. There are so many rules that have been instituted to protect the quarterback.
Well, it's an automatic 15 if he starts sliding and you hit him.
And hit him in any way, by the way.
It's an automatic 15. If he's sliding and you hit him, it's 15. And everybody knows it. And when you watch that play, because you will see it over and over today if you watch any of the football channels, because the rule change happened. You see whether it's a linebacker or a D-back completely give up. He's pursuing. He sees that slide. He stops. Well, he can't get momentum to then chase that quarterback down. I actually think it's a proper rule. If we're going to have the sliding and we have to protect the slider, then you have to then give the defense an out, if you know what I mean.
Now, it is in the discretion of the officials. Now, had you seen that before?
Never.
So I think it will be pretty easy to tell if, in fact, a player, he tried the fake slide there. You got to penalize him. And by the way, is it a penalty or do they just blow the play dead at the moment of the fake slide?
I hope it's B, David. I don't know the answer to that. I hope
guessing
it's B, and I hope that it's a upstairs reviewable play.
But
because an official on the field could miss that, David. I think that's something that the coach has to be, they've got, particularly on a scoring play, they would review it in the NFL. College is very different.
Now, the part of it, though, because let's face it, somebody does something once, then others are like, ooh, I may try that. Mark, we have seen quarterbacks heading to the sidelines begin to slow down, giving the appearance they're running out of bounds. Defenders slow down, ease off. They do not want to hit the quarterback too close to the boundary. And what does quarterback then do? Quickly plant the foot, regain speed, go by said defender. That's legal. That's tricking them out. That we can do. But now what we can't do is slow down, start to go down into the crouch, start to, bend, collapse the knees as if we're going to go down, and then regain full speed and go. So there's going to be a discretionary part of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely, David. It's all about bending the knee. It all comes back to that.
Well, Mark, you want to keep the strain. Right. You want to keep the strain off the back. That's what I've learned as I've gotten older. I can hear my mom now. Bend with your knees. I got it, Mom. I got it.
I have a question because, no league, no college games. Are we still obligated to do 5 picks with this limited schedule this week?
We're not obligated. I have to admit, though, unlike most weeks, I actually have a bunch of things that are jumping out at me. Now,
in that case, I'll get the pad out.
Well, I was going to say, if I were all of you, considering I am 5 games below 500, all right, and Mark is about 5 games above 500, I would not listen to the stuff that is seemingly jumping off the page and getting my attention. But
there's 2 that I really like already. I can tell you that right now. There's 2 that I could take without a problem. I'm taking the Washington football team plus 4.5.
Okay, we're on that same train. Now I was going to take them
Chiefs, and I'm going not Kansas City. I'm going the Charleston Chiefs. There, that was a little bit of homage to Slapshot. You don't tell a team we're going to win here. You don't say I'm guaranteeing a win in the National Football League. That will bite you. And all they have to do is cover 4.5, David.
Well, I was going to take the 4.5 before Mike McCarthy opened his mouth. I do think, by the way, for the most part, it's just window dressing on a game. I really don't think Mike McCarthy's public guarantee is going to have a whole heck of a lot to do. Like Washington wasn't going to play unbelievably hard against Dallas. This is the two games they would play for free. All right, but for whatever, it'll just make it easier. It's a nice storyline. Okay.
I like the Bengals at home getting 1.5.
I'm not playing it, but I do as well. I love the Chargers laying 10 against the Giants. Giants can't score. I think the Chargers will.
Well, is Jake Fromm starting?
They might start Mike Glennon. Apparently, he cleared concussion protocol yesterday, so they're going to go with Mike Glennon as if that's going to produce a whole lot more points than Jake Fromm.
Right.
Says the Giants, after all, I think there's a law that was passed a couple years ago in Jersey. They're not allowed to score more than 17 points. They think it's still 1978.
And despite Robinson going to get the ball more for Jacksonville and Lawrence taking over, I'll take the Titans and lay the 8.5 against Jacksonville. Jacksonville can't score right now. Tennessee's trying to get a 1 seed that still matters to them.
Coming off a bye week.
Right.
That's my second pick that we agree upon. We both like Washington and Tennessee at home.
The other one I like, and it's all the way till Monday night, I'm taking Arizona. It's 2.5. They're the best team in football by record right now. Nobody seems to think so. No one wants to believe it, but I'm taking the Cardinals at home, laying less than a field goal.
I'm taking Denver and laying 10 at home against Detroit. I think now that the Lions got their win.
Oh, now they're going to lay down?
Yeah, actually, I do. And Denver, first off, I think there's a few veterans in that locker room. This DT news is going to hit them pretty hard. But no, I think this is a bad spot for Detroit, quite frankly. I do. I could see a letdown this week. I could see Jared Goff performing more like Jared Goff this week against a defense that forces turnovers.
And to find a fifth one, I am just simply going to go over in the Army-Navy game.
I like it. I do. By the way, the under has hit, if you missed it, 15 years in a row in the Army-Navy game. And for that reason, they have reduced the over-under to the lowest level in 20 years. It is 34.5. Okay,
2017, I win.
But right. 21-14 is what Vegas is basically saying this game is, because Army's a 7-point favorite. Now, when you
get to 30 by themselves,
they may. I'm going to get extravagant because when you're awful, why not be extravagant?
Here comes a David Moulton teaser. Bring it to me, Moulton.
Going to tease Army down from 7-1. Going to tease the over-under down to 28.5. Going to take Army and the over.
It's a really good bet. That better hit. I'll be mad if that doesn't hit. Now I'm watching Army-Navy. Now it's going to be on during the Christmas party. I'm going to make an announcement to everybody of what your parlay is, and we're all as a group going to be paying attention.
I'll be really honked if the over-under part of it doesn't hit. Okay, now if it was a snowstorm, fine, but it's supposed to be 65 and rainy. Come on. Should get a turnover or two in which we get points. Somebody's going to muff a punt or fumble. Come on.
I mean, even the Steelers gave a short field to the Vikings last night. I mean,
I was going to say, come on. So there you have it. I got 5. Mark has 4 with 1 pending. Follow him on Twitter. Or is 5 Arizona?
Yeah, 5's Arizona.
Okay.
I've got 5. I can get 5 bets out. If I got to go college hoop, David, I'll get to 5, damn it.
For those of us in Tampa, St. Pete, one time Mark went NBA. When we used to do a Super 7, and out of nowhere in November, Mark goes NBA, 2 NBA bets to fill out a Super 7. I threw a challenge flag. I'm like, this is unfair. not how we roll.
Turned my season around. I hit both of those, and it got me on a little roll to get that sucker to right around 500 to get the Mendoza line by the end of the year. This year, however, I've done a little better. I think I've only had one losing week all year.
Yep, you've a lot of 500s, a lot of 3 and 2s. I've got you a handful of games above 500, so that'll work, right?
It
take
works
that.
better than being below 500, David. That's all I can say. Gary Ferman, who covers the Canes for Canesport.com, will come up at the top of the hour for all you in the Fort Myers, Naples area. For the rest of you, follow us along, twitch.tv, if you want to catch that bonus hour. Tampa, St. Pete, have a great weekend. Miller and Moulton, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Visit gpstpete.com now to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made to order crispy fries can be paired with the gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Adam, come on. I know you're a huge Jags fan, but I mean, the way they've played lately, Tennessee, a good team at home, off a bye. I mean, I don't know how you can have any faith in the Jags. I mean, forget winning, covering. They're not scoring a ton of points. They're getting off to awful starts. Johnny, I don't know what to tell you. You're the only one that mentioned that.
I think we had some Twitch problems today, David.
That's what Johnny's saying.
Yeah. That's why that number popped like the way it did, unfortunately. Oh, that's awesome. Did you see that tweet?
No.
Someone tweeted us it must be from that 70 store, to orange shirt with a big orange and John Candy's head, and it says orange whip with a question mark.
Oh, there it is. That's cool. Did you see Bud Elliott's tweet? Mom and Hudson are doing great. Newly minted Big Brother having a, quote, I didn't sign up for this shit morning.
I will tell you that's happened with a buddy of mine's kids. And the older one was not very good to the little brother. And what's funny is then all of a sudden he tells me, he goes, they scolded the little brother for something. And the older sister walks over, gives them both a dirty look and hugs him and says, that's my brother. Don't talk to him like that.
30 seconds. He's not answering. What the hell?
He's not answering? No answer, David.
Oh. Okay. Sometimes they miss the call and they call back.
Yeah, just watch the phone because he might. By the way, Pat
him.
Donovan's at Army Navy this weekend.
Did you leave a message?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. We've had a good show and a fun week. We'll try to finish strong here for you. Army Navy tomorrow, 3 o'clock. CBS, for those of you inclined to watch. Army a 7-point favorite. Cadets are 8-3. The midshipmen 3-8. They've played a lot of close games. They've lost most of them. Over under 34.5, which is very, very low. The weather expected to be, well, unseasonably warm. Rain, mid-60s. In New Jersey, a one-time thing. 20 years after the attacks on September 11th, both teams wanted to play the game as close to New York City as possible. So they'll be at MetLife, home of the Giants and the Jets.
You know, David, when you bring that up, I get chills as a New Jersey native, as someone who has spent as much time in the city as you have. I'm just curious, what are you thinking heading into that game tomorrow?
I will say the flight in still to this day is always very difficult for me. Most times they don't fly in straight up the coast. When you do so, then New York City's on the right side of the plane. That's the best way to come in from a view standpoint. Now you're coming in from the south, so you're approaching the city, but you can see the lady in the harbor first, and then you see lower Manhattan and then Midtown, and obviously the towers used to be in lower Manhattan. And while the Freedom Tower is a beautiful building, and it's, the tallest one, for those, I think for everyone, even if you went to the city one time when the towers were there, it's still, for me, I don't know if melancholy is the word, but it still stops me, Mark, to be honest with you.
Well, and that's why I asked you, because I've only been to New York City as much as I've traveled. I've been lucky enough to travel to Europe. I've traveled all over this country. I've been to New York City once. It was after the towers had fallen. And, when I went to the Everblades game with Pat the other day, there's a Ranger fan that always hassles Pat. And I was giving it to this guy pretty good. And, this guy didn't realize the guy sitting next to him worked in hockey for 25 years and may know a touch more about the sport. So Pat was just having a ball with me giving it to this guy. And I just said after, I said, I've never been to a Ranger game. And I've never been to the Garden. And he just looked at me. I said, Pat, I've only been to the city once. And his jaw dropped. And he just kind of said, well, we have to change that.
Right.
And for those of you who grew up in and around the city, when you hear someone like me say that, you basically all want to take me out back and beat me because of the way, and especially I think you and Pat, you guys know 2 or 3 different New York cities.
Right.
If you're younger, you know the tourist New York City. You don't know that Times Square used to have let's just say a different element to it.
Yes.
And then you have stories of your mom going to the city. So with all of that, and then this being the Army-Navy game in which you hold in much higher regard than most anyone I know, and rightly so. You've changed people's opinion about that game who had very hard opinions the other way, amazingly enough. So I just think all of those things, I kind of want to get in your head about this game because I think tomorrow is going to be quite special.
When we had Seth on Wednesday and we brought up the fact that Seth is going to be there and it will be his first Army-Navy game. And here Seth is a resident of New Jersey. And even though the game's been in Philly, which is about an hour and a half from where Seth lives, and as a member of the media, he could have been at this game previously, but for whatever reason, he wasn't. But he really wanted to go this year. And I am curious, Mark, what they are going to do. Like, little things that my grandfather was in World War II. My father was in the Army. My best friend was a Marine. He would say is a Marine. He's still in the reserves. My admiration is, I think, hopefully most of ours admiration for those who have sacrificed is, significant. But I am curious what the emotional moments are going to be leading up to that game. Navy released their depth chart via email, and every single player is wearing a different patch representing something in the military. Now, and I looked, Mark, and could not find one midshipman who had identical patches. Like and I could obviously read off 100 things, but it is amazing that they're all wearing a patch to represent something different in our military, whether it's SEAL Team 3, the 120 Greyhawks, the 51 Windjammers, the 363 Red Lions, the 34 Blue Blasters, and you could go on, the 3rd Marines, the Red Knights, and it goes on and on and on. The news that came out this week that a midshipman who played in the game in 2001, ironically enough, was tragically killed in a training accident earlier this week. And that is something that has happened recently. When we still were fighting in Afghanistan, where people would play in this game one year and die before the next year's game. And I'm fine admitting this publicly. When they do the march on, I cry.
Don't know how
every time.
Don't know how you couldn't, David. I really don't.
Every time.
And like this year will be even more, I think, dramatic, David, because they play the game in the DC and in Philly. They don't play it in New York. They've moved it here and there from time to time. So this game being in the New York area, I think will have a deeper meaning than a normal Army-Navy game. And it's apparent given the fact that, we've been interviewing Seth for 15 years.
Yes, easily.
He's never brought the game up once.
Never.
He's going this year. Pat Donovan. Now we're on in Tampa, so we don't get Pat because he's on technically a competing radio station now. But Pat was a regular guest for a long time when we were just on in Fort Myers. I said to David during the break, I said, you might run into Pat Donovan at the game. He's in New York for this game. It meant enough that he wanted to go up. So people that have never talked about or have thought about going to this game are actually making their way to New York for it. So it is as different of an Army-Navy game as we've had in a long time. It really is. And there have been some instances that have made this game more special. I think the fact that, to be perfectly frank with you, David, that given the political situation in our world and how, I know where we live, everybody kind of thinks the same. They don't across the entire country. I think the fact that President Biden or Vice President Harris are not going to be there is a good thing. It focuses on the game. It doesn't let anybody do something stupid. And I don't mean crazy stupid. I just mean say stupid stuff, if you know what I mean. I think all of those things are the right thing for this game. Let it be about these young men and not bring anything else into it. And let it be about those that we lost on September 11th, 20 years ago. So I think there are a lot of great things that will come from this. And I think like I said, with the different people going, it's why I wanted to bring it up here, because I've seen you act this way. I've seen people whose fathers were in the military act this way. I haven't seen random sports people act this way in all of the years you've been working this game, David.
On a personal note, because of COVID, we don't, like we've talked about over the years, you've accompanied me, going back even before that, John and you, we'd go on a game. It was usually in Gainesville, but, in the last 2 years, we have not had visitors in the booth. And, that's still holding true today. And it's a bummer for me because my mom lives 30, 40 minutes away. And if we were not still battling a pandemic, I would have been able to sneak my mom into the booth and she could have taken in Army Navy and seen, listened to the broadcast, seen her son at work.
Would you been able to have worked the next week, or would she have had things to say to Brad and or Gary that may have made it uncomfortable for you?
Well, I will say, no, not uncomfortable for me, okay, but I do think that Brad and Gary would now realize more of why I am the way I am, okay, during the 2 hours before kickoff. I don't think there's any question of that. But my mother would be crying during the walk-on too, though. Don't kid yourself. We'd be shoulder to shoulder, It's emotional. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. It is the game. If you ever get a chance to go, and tickets are hard to get a hold of. They are. This is not, people do not sell their tickets to these games. And if they do, they sell them to fellow family members who have connections to the two academies. This is a tough ticket. If you ever get a chance, I beg of you, gobble up the ticket and go early. The earliest you've ever entered a stadium for a sporting event. Pretend it's baseball and you want to watch batting practice. You need to be there for the march on. It is magnificent.
Batting practice in the 70s and 80s. Now they've tightened that window up.
Yeah, I
You can't
know.
even see the home team anymore, David. Why would you want to see the home team take batting
Right.
practice for the baseball game? It might intrigue one more fan to come to a game.
Exactly.
Nah.
They might actually then be able to come on down to the rail and get an autograph or a selfie.
What a concept.
I know. Yeah. It's all about the kids, though, Mark.
Certainly
It's
is.
all about the
Particularly in
kids.
college athletics, as we're going to move signing date back again. Coming.
And the one thing, if the game doesn't do anything for you, you're not a bad person. You're not. Okay. And it's fine. Okay. It just happens to really strike a chord with me and with some others. But I will say, if you could, the best 5 minutes of television that CBS does all year is right at the top of the hour before kickoff of Army Navy. It is Emmy award winning stuff. It has won many Emmys. They will literally spend 6-8 months working on the 4 to 7 minute open, as we call it, to this broadcast. And I got to admit, Mark, most times I'm crying by the time that sucker ends as well.
Well, you know me. I can do it in a commercial, so you know I'm a mess during those things. But it makes me feel better that it takes them 6 to 8 months, because you remember when I did that college football thing and I'd play the highlights, that'd take me all weekend just to get, 40
Right.
minutes. So I do feel a lot better about my lack of editing skills than I did prior to this segment. Miller and Moulton, thank you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark, this past segment or the one coming up?
No, the past segment. That one we just did. That runs December 24th. And David, I just told Felipe that, but be thinking in terms of the next couple weeks of best of segments so we can put a December 24th show together.
Okay.
Wow. I just got an email from the City of Palms Classic that I am required to only wear Nike apparel. Can't complain about that.
You know, Steve, that's actually pretty funny, and I would love to know what show that was. And I don't think we can air it. That's the only problem. It comes from the last. Well, we did it. I don't know where we stand with that. We own our show. We've always owned our show. So I don't know why we couldn't play something from Act 2 on a best of.
Sure, we'd have to
Edit
edit out a few things.
But he just said the Moulton House salmon baking experience is a must for best of. I do not think he's wrong.
It is a gift.
Well, we've got it. We're now obligated. I have it recorded.
Wow.
If you could send that right over to me, that'd be
Just give me the date and I can get the actual one. If you hear anything, I just need the date, and because all the shows are archived on the website. The wallet stories, God, I don't even know if I could find that. God. I love this cheese grater. For first off, yeah, that's long gone.
We don't have anything for the first act.
And we didn't own that show technically. I mean, once we went to Act 2, we were independent contractors that basically owned the show.
30 seconds.
And we own this show.
Yeah.
We don't own anything else.
It's not worth. Anybody want to buy it? It's for sale.
For $99.99.
Adam seems to have some cash. You want to buy the show?
Oh yeah. Stop. Oh boy.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Keep on watching Miller and Moulton on our twitch.tv channel. And we thank you for continuing to listen to our third act here in the 239, this time along the Florida Sports Network. The good, the bad, and the ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, and some final sports thoughts all coming up in roughly 15 minutes time.
That was a lively commercial break, David. I must say, we went from very serious matter to some pretty fun stuff in the last 5 minutes. But
well, quickly behind the curtain. So we have to do a show contractually on Christmas Eve. And Miller and Moulton have no intention of working Christmas Eve. So which means we have to produce a show. And so, that requires best of. Well, we don't own anything from our first act. We own everything in acts 2 and 3. And so we were just discussing, well, what it is could we, and people started chiming in. And I will admit, the suggestions are terrific. Don't know if we can muster it all up. We've never done it before. But it is something worth trying.
yeah, here in our backyard, the shootouts this weekend, David. This is one of the few times that we've, with you traveling, this was normally a time we would be out at the shootout. But, well, with the amount of staff we have and the fact I wasn't going to sit by myself at 5 a.m. in the dark in Naples.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
I would have gone.
Then who would have done your job here? David, you are right. He is kind of cute. I think we'll keep him.
Yes. But he is like a puppy. They are cute. I think we'll kind of keep them, but occasionally they run around and they make a mess.
And they eat the couch.
Right.
And it was interesting because yesterday, Felipe, who at any point will take any conversation, like I can take any conversation and work gambling in. At anything you're talking about, I can figure out a way to bet on some portion of our conversation. I might be able to get it to alcohol too. Felipe can take any sports conversation and quickly transition it to an NBA story. And yesterday, he was all into another little behind the scenes. Today was a day when coming up. And yesterday was the anniversary of Tracy McGrady scoring 13 points in 33 seconds in a regular season game, of which neither team got to 90. I know this because he sent me the clip of the end of a lot of fouls and Tracy McGrady making a lot of threes, and he got fouled on one, which made it a 4-point play, hence how he got to 13. And he calls this the greatest comeback in the history of comebacks, and David and I are looking at him, and then he just gave us the year too old. Everybody knows this. I said, okay. He started asking more young people about it, and they all backed Miller and Moulton exactly as we suspected. But what he did do is he sent both David and I immediately, and I asked him to do this. So I am partially responsible because, David, after the show, you're on location. He's going on and on and on about this. I said, I tell you what, Felipe, find the YouTube and send it to me. I will look at it. And he sent it to me, and I was bored halfway through it and turned it off. I have to be perfectly honest. It did nothing for me. The one three-pointer in which he got fouled was impressive. But David quickly sent back this text to both of us on the group text. You go back and forth from charming to relentless. And that, it really has all the qualities of a Labrador puppy. It's cute. It's a lot of fun. It brings a lot to the table to make everybody happier. And then every once in a while, it eats the corner of the couch.
Well, sometimes we, can sum things up pretty well. I do want to talk about something that we talked about also during break that the Twitch audience heard, but I don't believe we talked about it on air. Is pretty big announcement from EA Sports yesterday.
Yeah, the college football game is coming back, which they had announced basically when the whole lawsuit ended, when the final verdict was out that the Supreme Court decision basically said that you can pay these guys. And EA Sports had come out and basically said, we're back, but they did nothing more. Yesterday, they said they plan on having it out, not the summer of 2022, but the summer of 2023. And I think it's big for a lot of reasons. I want to see how the pie's divvied up for the kids. What are they getting out of this? The whole point of this was we couldn't use their name, image, and likeness. So now that we can, what chunk of this game are they getting? Who's representing the college athlete for this game? I have more questions than I do answers when it comes to this, David, because this should be a cash cow for these kids.
All right. I'm going to go out on a limb here because I can't think of any other way that they would do it. Wouldn't they strike deals with the individual athletic departments, and then the money would get dispersed through the athletic department?
Which athletic departments are paying their kids right now? They're all another group. So I don't know, David.
No, I don't either.
This is one that I'm probably going to be sending some DMs to the Darren Heitners and the Daniel Wallachs of the world today because I have 5 million questions when it comes to this.
Well, and once again, because, they do not have a union.
Correct.
They're not technically considered employees, even though they seemingly fit just about every damn definition of an employee, but they are not regarded legally as employees. They do not have a union. So therefore, who negotiates on their behalf? Is EA Sports going to have to negotiate with each athlete individually?
That's what I'm wondering. Does some lineman get $10 and Spencer Rattler get more? I don't know. Who goes on the cover of it? What do they get? I'm telling you, the Wild Wild West has been said, and it is, and I have no problem with the Wild Wild West, but it's going to be ugly for a couple of years. People were pointing fingers at Texas earlier this week because they figured out the loophole that there are charities being set up and the linemen are going to get like 50 G's each to show up and go to a few camps and things of that nature. This is going to be different, and it's going to be unsettling to some people. But this is an above-the-board company, and I am fascinated with how this is going to work and if at all it's going to benefit these athletes. Because it should. That's the whole point of this.
Well, you would think it has to, because wasn't that the reason why they had to discontinue the game? So
Well, if you remember, they didn't have the players. The schools were all getting paid. And then they kind of ended that because when you were number 15 for Florida, his name wasn't Tim Tebow.
Right.
But they finally, because it was,
right.
The game disappeared before they got their asses sued.
Exactly.
I mean,
well, and I think it was the O'Bannon suit that got EA Sports thinking, oh, this could all be problematic. How long has it been away for? Was it 2012? How long have we been without?
That long.
The EA Sports college football game. I think it's been a little while.
Oh, yeah. It definitely has been a little while. It began in 93.
And I remember Herb Street talking about it on game day one time and actually tweeting out about it, about how it hurt his enjoyment of college football when the game went away.
2014, I believe, was the last edition.
Okay. Think about what's changed in college athletics since then.
By the way, just a quick little trivia question for everyone. Fan voting decided the game's cover. I'll let everybody stew over it. David, I don't think you'll get it. But on the cover of the final installment of the series, released July 9, 2013, the cover is Michigan quarterback Denard Robinson.
Wow, I would have thought it was Manziel. He won the 2012 Heisman and he was coming back.
Wasn't even considered in the voting process. It was fan voting. Robinson was picked over Eddie Lacy, Kajon Barner, Jarvis Jones, E.J. Manuel, Ryan Swoop, John Simon, and Tyler Eifert were the final votes.
Huh. That's shocking to me. Had to be a reason why Manziel wasn't even listed.
I don't remember how the voting was. It may have been a popularity contest, and he might have gotten beaten early on. I honestly don't remember how that went, and we do not have our current this is a point where Philly should be of use to us, but that's in your wheelhouse too. I mean, you're 14. You had to have that game.
Yeah. So, and back to what you said earlier about how they handle the player situation. The way that the game worked was that it was the model of each player on each team, but it didn't have a name.
No, I got you. But why did Denard Robinson get on the cover? Do you remember? No?
I was too young.
14?
13.
A video game, and he doesn't remember at 13. I'm telling you, it's been a rough week for Felipe.
If it's a sports video game that I play, what game do you think it would have been?
It's probably the hoop game.
NBA 2K.
Yep.
LeBron was on the cover in 2014.
Of course he was.
Throwing that chalk with the heat.
Oh, he waited till the 9 o'clock hour today. I got to give him credit.
Yep.
28 minutes before the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, and some final sports thoughts as well. Thanks so much for being with us on this Friday edition. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code
Still no snow.
only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So what happened there is that I was doing research on the game, and I stumbled upon a Georgia-Alabama gameplay video of the game, and I was just lost.
Okay.
That game is so good. When they bring it back, it is going to rock.
We had a boom yesterday. When did the boom happen? Oh, Tuesday. There was a loud noise Tuesday. Does anybody remember hearing it?
No.
Me either. Like barely from Inglewood to Naples, you could hear this boom, and I don't have a clue.
Sounds like a potential ugly if it brews up into a story.
Oh, this is a good one. I like this one. What do we got with this Gainesville man? Two great stories already.
Orion, yeah, we talked about it in the starting five. It was crazy. He cashed it.
Oh, she's hot. Look at that. That's a lot of woman right there. Holy Toledo. It's a chick shooting a flamethrower. She's very attractive. Just letting you know, flamethrowers make the good, bad, and ugly today.
All righty then.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. How could it not be a good story if we got a flamethrower in it?
You know that Elon Musk has a flamethrower? Like he sells one?
I did not.
Looks like a ray gun from the future. And it just shoots flames. What is he, a 3-time NBA champion? Oh, no. He won with the Lakers, too. He might be
Who?
Ron Harper.
Oh, Harper.
Yeah.
Is he 5?
Maybe. Was he on each of the Lakers 3-peat teams? Wasn't he on the Clippers for a little bit, too?
Oh, yeah. In fact, he started on the Clippers.
Yeah.
Actually, no, he started with the Cavs. My bad. Then he went to Clippers, Bulls.
Yeah, he won in 96, 97, and 98 with MJ.
Yeah, but then he played the 2 years with the Lakers in 2000 and 01. So he's got 5.
Have a good weekend, Twitch chat.
He's got 5, Felipe.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes before we are done for the week. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Remember, Dolphins off this week. One of 4 teams with a bye: Dolphins, Eagles, Colts, Patriots. I know it doesn't feel like the Patriots had a bye because they just played 4 days ago, but they're off. Bucks obviously hosting Buffalo, the headliner 425 game this week. Big game for both, for seeding and all that sort of thing. Right now it is time for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
We bounce around a lot, Mark. I will try very hard to do this in chronological order.
Boy, here we go.
Woo!
Oh, boy.
On this date, December 10th, in 1817, Mississippi became the 20th state of the Union.
Hotty toddy.
You know what? That's a reason to say that. It was on this date in 1864 that General Sherman completed his march to sea by getting to Savannah, Georgia.
I believe, if I could be wrong, but I believe it's Milledgeville, Georgia. That town was left unharmed. That's because General Sherman had a side piece. I'm pretty sure that's the town. The story I know is factual. I'm 95% certain that's the town.
It was on this date in 1869 that the Wyoming Territory became the first in the U.S. to grant women the right to vote. Wasn't a state yet, and remember, women did not get the right to vote for another 51 years. It's on this date in 1884 that Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn was first published. Here's the funny thing: not published in the United States. There was a printing error. It wouldn't make it into the States for 2 more months. The book was first available in the UK and Canada before February of 85. You could get it south of the border. On this date in 1898, President McKinley signs the Treaty of Paris, ending the Spanish-American War. The U.S. got the Philippines, Puerto Rico, and Guam.
Just another ass kicking.
We had a good run.
Oh, we were on a roll.
We were building momentum, as they say.
Talk about trending.
We were
laying lots of points, David. Lots of points.
We were a mid-major, but we had potential.
And we were
real
about to
potential.
Take a deep run in the tournament and shock everybody.
Put it this way: 1898, we were in our Butler Gonzaga early days.
Right.
Yes. 120 years ago, Mark, on this day, part of the reason why today is one of 5 days?
Right.
Well, part of the reason why today is Nobel Prize Day is 120 years ago today, the first Nobel Prizes were awarded.
There you have it.
Now to sports. On this date in 1919, the National League bans the spitball retroactively. New pitchers could not throw the spitball. Those of you pitching currently, you can keep throwing it until you're done. It's kind of like when Major League Baseball retired Jackie Robinson's number. There was like 13 or 15 players who were wearing 42, and they said, you can keep wearing it, but when you're done, it's done.
I mean, it's a little different.
A little different.
I mean, a little different. I mean, you guys can still cheat. You guys can still wear a number. I mean,
right. It's a little, it's put it this way. It's an apples and oranges comparison, Mark.
A little bit.
It was on this date 99 years ago in 1922 that what is regarded as the first NFL champion was crowned. The Canton Bulldogs defeated the Toledo Maroons 19-0 to cap off a 10-0-2 season. They only gave up 15 points all year.
The Maroons? Is that why Bugs Bunny? You're such a maroon.
The Canton Bulldogs defeated the Toledo Maroons 19-0.
It's really sad that there's not an NFL team named the Bulldogs. Just saying. Maybe Washington should be the Bulldogs to take it from the first champion, the Canton Bulldogs.
Maybe they will be. Maybe when the time comes, the Kansas City's forced to change their name. Maybe they'll become the Bulldogs.
Kansas City Bulldogs does sound better than the Washington Bulldogs.
It was on this date in 1924 that the two leagues in baseball agreed on what the World Series format would be damn near for every year since. They agreed that A, it'll be a best of 7, and B, the leagues will alternate who has home field advantage. And whichever league has it that year, they get games 1, 2, 6, and 7 at their place. Baseball went with this for a long time until only recently they said, you know, we probably should give it to the team who actually won more games during the regular season. Doesn't that seem like a better way to do it? 1968, Mark, Joe Frazier becomes heavyweight champion. Remember, Ali had his title stripped in the 12 months previous. Joe Frazier beats Oscar Bonavena in a 15-round decision to become heavyweight champion of the world. On this, the year previous, I'm sorry, I stepped out of line here. 1967, Otis Redding died in a plane crash near Madison, Wisconsin. 1978, Superman the movie debuts. Christopher Reeve, Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman, Margot Kidder.
It's a really good cast, by the way. When you think,
yeah,
I mean, it really is. Gene Hackman's great in damn near everything he ever did.
1983, the final, I should say, NFL game at Shea Stadium. The Jets finally decided, you know what? We're going to go across the river to Jersey. The Steelers beat the Jets 34-7. Mark, I believe it was Terry Bradshaw's last game. He threw 2 early touchdowns. He came back from an injury. The Steelers needed it to make the playoffs, and they begged him to come back. He throws 2 early touchdowns, blows out his elbow, never plays again. 34-7 Steelers last game at Shea. 1992, the NHL awarded franchises to Miami and Anaheim.
And Miami got the Florida Panthers, much to the chagrin of one Phil Esposito.
Got that right.
He wanted the Tampa team to be named Florida, and they would not give them that, which is why every time the two played and Espo was in charge in Tampa, it would say Tampa versus Miami.
In 2009, the movie Avatar premiered.
One of the worst movies ever made, largest ripoff ever done to human beings. Paid all this movie to watch a cartoon Titanic. It was awful. Still pissed at what I paid for that movie to take my son. He walked out, that was great, Dad. I'm like, yeah, that sucked, but I couldn't say it.
And on this date, 5 years ago, Bob Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. He did not attend the ceremony.
That it?
Eric Crouch, Reggie Bush, Johnny Manziel, Lamar Jackson all won their Heismans on this day. Famous birthdays today in sports. Mark Aguirre is 62. I did that one for you, Mark.
Laundry bag. I love him.
Paul Ossenmacher. I just like the name. Situational lefty reliever is 61. Rob Blake. Pretty good hockey player. 52. And Joe Burrows, 25. And Mark, on this day, both Walter Johnson and Adolph Rupp passed away. Walter Johnson was just 59. He died of a brain tumor. Adolph Rupp was 76. And that is.
All right, David, I've only got two little omissions for you, and one's just for fun, and one's actually a great rock story. It was today in 2007 that Zeppelin played arguably the biggest one-off show ever. It was after their longtime manager, Ahmet Erdogan, their boss from Atlantic, the guy you see in the Ray movie, he died, and his wife asked if Plant would consider getting the band back together for a benefit for his education fund. That's why they did it. And Jason Bottom, the son of John Bottom, played drums. They killed it. Everybody wanted a reunion, and they just did the one-off. And the other one, David, it was today in 1979 that Kool and the Gang's Ladies' Night is certified gold. I really only did that because there's a good chance that when you walk to the lobby or that room where the food is, you will break into Ladies' Night at some point today. I know it's going to happen.
Okay. Joe and Troy could not say this on the air. I don't know if they saw it, but last night the Steelers are making their comeback. They scored 3 straight touchdowns, and they're in commercial break. And the song that they're playing inside the U.S. Bank Stadium is the Rolling Stones' Start Me Up. And I swear we were zeroing in on Mike Tomlin just about ready to come out of break, and Mike Tomlin was strutting to Start Me Up. And there's no way to get it on camera, and there's no way to say it. But I would bet my paycheck that Mike Tomlin was strutting to Start Me Up.
Probably doing his own Mick Jagger impression right there in the field.
Yep.
And that, of course, seamlessly leads us to...
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
You know, we were talking about today being Nobel Prize Day, among other things. Wednesday, apparently, was National Brownie Day. And for the good, we go to Norwood, Massachusetts, where they believe they made the largest TNC-infused brownie ever. Maramed Incorporated said the massive confection is 3 feet by 3 feet square and 15 inches tall, weighs 850 pounds, and contains 20,000 milligrams of THC. That's a party.
That's a brownie.
Whew. For the bad, we go to Cape Coral, where Bradley Curry was arrested earlier this week at the Dixie Roadhouse. He wasn't allowed in because they said he was too drunk. That's when he grabbed the 3-foot-tall ashtray, throwing it at the door, shattering the door. Dude, you were drunk. They didn't let you in a bar. There's got to be 6 others in Cape Coral that would have served you. It's Cape Coral, after all. Finally, the ugly. We go to Gainesville, where Andre Abrams is in a little bit of trouble. You see, he doesn't like when people park in front of his house, even though it's not illegal. And Ashley Gainey parked in front of the house, and that's when Abrams brought his flamethrower out and started firing at the car that had 3 teenagers inside of it.
Whoa!
Apparently, it's not the first time that he's fired the flamethrower at people. The mom of one of the teams said he does it to scare people. When he shoots it, it lights up the whole road. It's like daylight in the middle of the night. In the arrest report, the XM42 light flamethrower, which shoots flames up to 20 feet and is manufactured in Washington, sells for $900 online, which answers the question, if you wondered whether or not you can own a flamethrower, guess what? You can. Just don't shoot it at cars. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly here on December the 10th, 2021. I got to grab a flight to Massachusetts and pick up some snacks.
One of the last NHL games that will be played in Arizona is being played tonight before the team gets evicted. We did that story earlier in the week. It may actually happen. We'll see. The Panthers are playing the Coyotes tonight.
And the Coyotes are going to get to play. They paid their bills. Good for them.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they paid everything off, all taken care of yesterday. We talked about it yesterday on the show. They got their bills paid. They're not going to get thrown out. It is, you were right. It is the last year of the lease, and the city does not want them back.
No.
It's not the team. The city has said, yeah, we're not renewing this.
I mean, they are homeless for next year, by the way. I mean, this is not a joke.
No.
It's a major league professional team that does not have a place to play next year. A bunch of games in the NBA, none of them involve the Heat or Magic. I just, you get Brooklyn, Atlanta at 7:30. Fridays is ESPN doubleheader day, so you get Brooklyn, Atlanta at 7:30, and you get Boston, Phoenix at 10. Army, Navy tomorrow. Army's favored by 7.
Dolphins on a bye. Bucks and Bills at 4:25. It is a biggie. We will talk about it on Monday morning along with all the rest of the NFL action from the weekend. We hope you have a terrific weekend, and thanks for listening. We'll be back Monday morning at 6 right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed